The stakes have never been higher. The competition has never been stronger. 35 drivers, 20 rounds. One will be crowned champion. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. You're watching the premier American open wheel series on iRacing. The Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment starts now.
We're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. Presented by First Medical Equipment from 4790 West 16th Street in the American city of Indianapolis, Indiana. It's time for the Global Sim Racing Channel's Round 9 coverage, the second jewel in the Triple Crown of the Lionheart IndyCar Season Series 8 Championship. Now, controversy is no stranger to the Brickyard. In 81, it was the Unser v. Andretti lawsuit. 79 and again in 97 saw two extra drivers added to the grid. And though we try to forget it, there was a Formula One race held here that featured only 6 cars. So issues with qualifying earlier this week is just proof that sim racing mirrors real-world racing in more ways than just on the track. But order has been restored, and soon all the familiar Lionheart faces will requalify, regrid, and roll out ready to race. Faces like real-world IndyCar driver and current Lionheart point leader Sage Karam, two-time and defending point champion Adam Blocker, hoping to prove the sport has not passed him by, two-time season champ Jake Wright, looking to sip the virtual milk 2 years in a row, last season's Lionheart 500 winner Andrew Kinsella. Connor Harrington hopes to be the second driver only to win 3 consecutive races. Tony Kanaan won the 500 for real in 2013. Can he do it again virtually in 2020? And how about 11-time real-world IndyCar race driver Adrian Fernandez? Oh, the talent pool is deep, and in this game of Marco Polo, everybody will be swimming with the sharks. From the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's time for the HyperX Indianapolis 500 and all the double point simulated Dallara IR18 Triple Crown action streams your way live as it happens right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Good health, peace, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Experience Countdown to Green. Over the next 15 minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate the HyperX Indianapolis 500. Here to bring you our words eye view, yours truly, Bill Soupson, joined by 7-time real-world Indy 500 participant Richie Hearn, along with the poor man's Jackie Stewart, Peter Mackay. Sean Ambrose has director duties armed with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The opening touched on a few of the drivers who will be performing today, but when it comes to this place, the real star is always the venue itself. Let's take a look at the home for the greatest spectacle in racing.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see our guide around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The first motorsports competition at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway took place in 1909. The track's original surface of crushed stone and tar proved problematic. The owners paved the track with more than 3 million bricks, giving rise to the nickname the Brickyard. Indy isn't known for its banking, with only 9 degrees of banking in all 4 corners. Indy is unique because those 4 corners are individual corners. Each is separated by a short chute. Turn 1, you find yourself battling tunnel vision with the grandstands and pit road on both sides of the track closing in as you're trying to hit your mark. Turn 2 and down the backstretch, the drivers are often facing wind. Turns 3 and 4, also known as the north end of the speedway, flow exactly like turns 1 and 2. Surviving 2 world wars, 10 popes, and older than sliced bread, Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the most historic racing venue in America. Stepping onto the hallowed grounds of Indy, you feel over the 100 years of history. Winning at Indy requires all of the luck, skill, drive, and determination that you have. Many have come to taste the milk and have left empty-handed. The yard of bricks at the start-finish line pays tribute to the original surface. Kissing the bricks at Indianapolis Motor Speedway after your victory has quickly become an Indy tradition. With that being said, that's just scratching the surface of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And when you think about it, all these drivers are just chasing a glass of milk over 3 feet of bricks. It's amazing how those simple things mean so much to so many people. This has been our guide to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Strap on in and enjoy the show.
Slick videos are nice, but nothing beats hearing from a man who risked life and limb here for real 7 times. Richie Hearn.
Well, what can I say about this track? It's, in my opinion, the greatest racetrack in the world, and this is the greatest race in the world. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as you can see, it's an actual rectangle, and it does have 4 distinct corners, so you have to take every corner exactly just a little bit different, with turn 1 going down through a tunnel. Turn 2 usually gets affected by the wind. Turn 3 is pretty easy, but turn 4 is the key. You got to get a good run off of that so you can come to the finish line and hopefully make that last lap pass. And I wish I was out there running with these guys, but I'm happy to be up here in the broadcast booth, and I can't wait to watch these guys go around this famous racetrack, and it should be quite a show. Remember, the countdown is green is brought to you by the Sim Experience AccuForce steering systems with the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Direct Drive is second only to the real thing. To check out the entire Sim Experience line of products, head on over to simexperience.com.
Well, going on right now, before we look at that, let's look at the points real quick. Driver standings presented by First Medical Equipment. Hey, I heard the Dreyer and Reinhold Racing announced that Sage Karam will take the grid in the number 24 Chevy for the GMR Grand Prix at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's going to be on July 4th. So in regards to Lionheart, Karen's real rules and virtual schedule should not conflict. Connor Harrington is looking to become the second driver in Lionheart history to win 3 in a row. Karen was denied that honor earlier this season. How about Andrew Kinsella? He has finishes of 18th, 21st, and 28th, so drop races are really going to help have a catch. Richie will talk a little bit more about these guys in a minute, but take note of the movement of those rookies, Nathan Lewis and Arjuna Kinkampati in 14th and 15th. Let's look at the team championship. These come your way thanks to HyperX. Clearly, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer because I just figured out that SKM stands for Sage Karam Racing. Teammates of Joshua Chin and Damon Martinez make very strong trio. They're going to be tough to beat. Allentech Simulation NHR Esports has the best day last time out on the road course, 23 points better than SKM. Connor Harrington was first, Nathan Lewis was 10th, and Stefan Larkamp was 14th. They move up 2 spots into a podium position. Adrenaline Red holds station in second. Richie, how about the rookies?
Well, the rookie standings tightened up a little bit after that last race. Josh Chin holds on to the lead, but he finished 33rd last race and lost some ground to Nathan Lewis, who was 10th out and moved up to second spot, 22 points behind. And also Kankapati has moved up as well. He had a 3rd place finish on the Indy road course, and he's only 1 point behind Nathan Lewis for second. Frazier lost a couple of spots down into 4th, and then everybody else kind of holding steady there. George Sandman had a good run at 6th place. But this is always going to tighten up, and these Rookie of the Year standings are presented to you by Butt Kicker.
The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, and it's the premier open-wheel racing league on iRacing. It oversees 2 great series, the Lionheart Retro Series, presented by DMLC Racing Channel, and the featured series today, that is the Lionheart IndyCar Series, presented by First Medical Equipment. If you missed the Thursday night retro race, you want to go back and catch that. I won't give you any spoilers, but it's worth the watch. Both of those series honors the memory of a man who won here twice. That would be the late Dan Weldon. Now, this is a special Sunday time slot, which means viewership will be high. So for those unfamiliar with the series, let me reintroduce and welcome Peter Mackay to the broadcast to talk about the event details.
Well, thank you very much, Stoop. It's a pleasure to be here for this Lionheart Indianapolis 500. These event details come to us thanks to Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable and are made of breathable poly spandex. So whether you're a car or sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz. And don't forget to also use the discount code LHRS for 25% off orders. So the event details for today, this is round 9 of 20 of this Lionheart season. And because today is one of the Triple Crown events, our drivers will score double championship points using the modern-day IndyCar, the Dallara IR18 with the new protective aero screen. Setups are fixed but can be adjusted slightly, and we are going for over $10,000 in prizes this season in Lionheart.
Thank you very much, Peter. And of course, HyperX also has a giveaway for today. If you want to know more about that one, go to LionheartRacingSeries.com and check it out. Qualifying is over. Let's go to the grid right now. We have 38 drivers who put in qualifying times. One did not. On the front row, I'll take this one, Richie. It's the same man who won qualifying Wednesday night, Joshua Chin. So justice is found his way to Joshua Chin. Stefan Larkamp sits outside of him in the second spot.
Yeah, starting in row 2 in the third position will be Brian Beard, and right next to him will be Michael Goodman.
On row number 3 will be Dustin Wardlow in the number 9 car, and alongside him will be Andrew Kinsella in the 41 car.
In 7th is Joe Bratch. Look at this qualifying run from rookie Darren Ganji in 8th. Richie.
Yeah, he's the highest starting rookie right now. Jason Galvin's going to start right behind him in 9th, and Brandon Linkerman in 10th position.
On row number 6 will be our real-world racer, Sage Karam, in the number 2 car, and beside him will be Connor Harrington. Soup.
Harrington's got 2 wins in a row, looking to make it 3. Brian Carey and Damon Martinez fill up the next 2 spots.
Starting 15th will be Chris Lanini and James Krahula in the 16th position.
Row 9 will be Jake Wright in the 27 car and Ken Hacker in the 24 car in 18th spot.
Brian Yazik in 19th, defending champion Adam Blocker in 20th.
Starting in 21st is going to be George Sandman, and right next to him will be George Anzaldo in the 22nd.
Row 12 will have Nathan Lewis in the 22 and Mark Cohn in the number 39 car.
Chris Pilfer and Justin Weaver fill up the next row.
Mike Rigney in 27th and Brian Greenlee in 28th.
Ron Hacker will start in the 29th spot, and GSRC's very own Samuel Ryman will start in 30th place.
31st and 32nd go to Tony Schowen and Tyler Graff.
Joe Hassert and Agent Fernandez will fill up the next row in 33rd and 34th.
Row 18 will have Jay Brand and Adam Frazier.
Ajuna Kinkapati way back in 37th inside of Scotty Johnson.
And Scott Holmes coming up in the back did not put in a lap time.
And there you have it. 38 drivers put in qualifying time, 39 names on the entry list. All 39 cars have found their spot out onto the track. Let's take a quick look at the weather before they start to roll. What do you think, Richie?
Hot is what I think. It's a typical day out there in Indianapolis. Air temp's not too high, but the track temp, 109. They're going to struggle. That's really going to kill these tires off. A little bit of wind, not too bad. Obviously, the humidity is going to be high in the Midwest, 74%, but keep an eye on that track temp because it's really going to wear those tires out faster than they want.
Keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. Roll, baby, roll. Let's go ahead and look at our 4 onboard cameras. We'll start with car number 42. That's Jason Galvin sporting the HyperX onboard camera. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. Use promo code LionHRT15 at HyperXGaming.com. How about the number 41? This is Andrew Kinsella. He's sporting the Sim Experience onboard camera, second only to the real thing, simexperience.com. Car number 73. This is Jason Brandon. He's got himself the first medical equipment onboard camera. Your source of medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area. Finally, one more look with a HyperX onboard camera car of number 26, Tyler Graff. You know, a big thanks to everybody at HyperX for their generosity, giving away nearly $1,000 worth of merchandise to the Lionheart viewers this month. All the business is out of the way. Now we can turn our attention to the track. He won qualifying when Peter and I were there to call it on Wednesday night. That got washed away. He got it back. It's Joshua Chin. Once again, some of our paths have gathered us here, and the unswerving punctuality of chance for this very special race. The pace car pulls in. We're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. Joshua Chin leads the Stampede down into the first corner.
Yeah, he got quite a jump on Stefan Larkamp. Now Stefan Larkamp's being overtaken by Brian Burt here. Let's move Michael Goodman up on the inside of Stefan Larkamp as they come out of turn 2. And here comes Andrew Kinsella as well. He's moving up to the pack. Now Brian Beard taking the lead from Joshua Chin. The draft here is really strong. I expect to see pack racing the whole time.
Did not take them long to start mixing it up. So far, everybody is clean out of corner number 4 for the first time. Who's going to get credited with leading lap number 1? It looks like it's going to be Michael Goodman gets the nod over Brian Beard.
Yeah, he got a really good run out of turn 4 right behind Brian Beard. And I'm sure everybody's trying to play just kind of pretty easy right now, although I'm seeing almost 3 wide in turn 2. Starting to reshuffle. Here comes Brian Beard back on Michael Goodman, looking to retake that lead going into turn 3. Everybody's basically double file right behind them.
They get it sorted out a bit now as they go single file the second time around.
And here comes Michael Goodman, and here comes Joshua Chin. He looks like he's going to take it 3 wide. It's going to be Brian Beard, I think. No, Michael Goodman's going to hold on the lead, but he's going to fall back to 3rd and maybe even 4th as they come onto the backstretch as he got swallowed up. And Joshua Chin's going to go back into the lead as they come onto the backstretch right here.
Peter, looking at the field, I don't see anybody that's fallen off. It looks like they're all relatively spaced. Everybody hanging on to the lead pack.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Soup. It's a long 200 laps here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and of course, Scotsman Dario Franchitti back in 2012, he started far back in the pack in 18th and then was spun around in pit lane on his first trip down pit lane. So you've got to play it really clever. Very easy to get caught up in an accident in the early stages of this race, but fearsome racing so far from our front group with our pole sitter of Chin and also the Candyman, Dustin Wardlow, in there as well, getting his elbows out. And as Richie said, the draft is so big with these new Deluxe chassis.
Got a caution
flag.
A
caution. It looks like Mike Rigney. Oh, my goodness. It's not Mike Rigney. Somebody went into the air. Let's see if I can figure out who it was that took a tumble. Tony Schowen, perhaps? Let's start by looking at Rigney getting into it with Schowen. I think Schowen goes for a ride.
Schowen's still out there, so...
Maybe it's Tyler Groff, maybe. No, it's not. Well, we'll see if we can find it. Let's go ahead and look at it with Rigney. I know he's involved.
Right now, I'm not seeing any cars out of the race.
Let's look at car number 00. Let's look at Mike Rigney. Rigney gets into it with... Rigney gets in the wall, and then he hits... Okay, if I can figure out who, because he blinks away. He hits Joe Hassard.
Yeah, it's Joe Hassard.
Oh, there goes Joe flying.
Yeah, it's Joe Hassard. Joe Hassard and Mike Rigney are the ones that are out of the race. They both have disconnected, so their day is done early on here in the Indy 500.
We saw that on screen. Hassard got hit and then pretty much got put in the air, and he ends up in the Amelia Earhart Bar and Grill.
Yeah, there's no small crashes here at Indianapolis. The speeds are just so high, even though they've been tapped back a little bit over time, but they just are relentlessly fast, and one small mistake can make such a big difference. And right now, it's not going to be a problem for our drivers, but as the race progresses, the marbles on the outside line are going to be appearing a lot more. So you're not going to see as many drivers using such wide lines as we head to the middle and later part of the race. But exciting start so far. A lot of aggression from the drivers so far.
It looks like we have some people maybe taking some pit stops there.
Looking at Chris Lanini coming in for a spot. George Sandman pitting, I think. George Anzaldo. The Watchman, Mark Cohn coming in. Justin Weaver. What made that so hard to find is that when Hazard got airborne, iRacing, I guess maybe to save him the pain of coming down, they blinked him away while he was still in midair. Richie, I bet you've been in a few crashes that you wish you could have blinked away before you hit something.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, sometimes if you crash hard enough, it just kind of goes into outer space and then it just puts you right into your pit box. So that's probably what happened and why we didn't get a full play of that. But we do have some people taking some pit stops. So we already have like about 10 people maybe taking pit stops. We're going to have some people going off sequence. And that'll make it interesting because you got to work the race backwards. If they go for a long green, the problem is if you have to pit under green, take a full fuel, you pretty much are going to lose a lap.
Mark this down on your clipboards there as it's George Sandman, Chris Lanini, George Anzaldo, Mark Cohn, Justin Weaver, Ron Hacker, Adrian Fernandez. These guys all came in for stop. Junikin Capati, Jay Brent.
The veteran Fernandez. Yeah, so maybe a few people following the Indy veteran, 11-time IndyCar race winner. Maybe they're just thinking, oh, we'll follow the wise old fox and follow his strategy. Not a bad call.
A lot of those drivers are in the middle of the pack and they get a little dicey. So sometimes just taking yourself out of it, opening up your fuel window, will let you breathe a little bit.
Got a little update from Mike Rigney. He says it was a wheel failure that caused that one. That's the same excuse I used when my wife found some strange underwear in the glove compartment of our car. I said, wheel failure, baby. She didn't buy it. I'm not sure if I'm buying this one either, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, that's the other one is net code. Sometimes can be a genuine excuse, but other times can be the worst racing driver excuse ever. Richie, have you found yourself using netcode as an excuse so far in your
I have used it many times this year, and it's actually happened to me because my internet connection is a little bit sketchy on its own. So it does happen, but sometimes it's easy, like you said, to say, oh, it's netcode. I didn't get any contact as the other guy's out into the crowd.
In your case, it's true, because you live out there in like Area 51 of Nevada. I don't know.
Oh,
It's a long way from stuff. Hey, let's take this opportunity to look at our race analysis, Peter, and see how far we have to go, how far we can go.
Yeah, it's a good time to look at it because although that might look like those cars are pitting very early, as Richie said, it's good to get out of that mid pack where it's really dangerous. But your maximum time on a tank of fuel under green is 29 laps. And of course, we're on lap 7 already. Of course, they'll use a lot less fuel sitting at 80 miles per hour behind the safety car rather than 230 miles an hour. So that also goes to Richie's point that if you want to win this race, I think you need to get all your pit stops done under yellow flag conditions. If you're taking pit stops under green, the penalty is pretty large. So also 20 incident points as well. Of course, usually if you have any form of incident, that is you out of the race here at Indy. They are just that punishing. So incident points shouldn't play too much of a factor, but we're expecting a minimum of 6 pit stops, but we might see more than that with drivers coming in for more sets of tyres under caution.
Indiana's own Jane Pauley behind the wheel of the pace car. She's turned the lights off. She ducks it in. It's time to go racing here. We'll be working lap number 8, and it is Joshua Chin in control of the field. He comes across. He's got cars chasing him. Goodman, Wardlow, Beard, and Kinsella. Kinsella under attack right now. He races with Beard, Larkamp. Here comes Larkamp in 6th.
Yeah, it's definitely stretched the field out a little bit more. Not quite so hectic up front, but here comes Goodman. He's getting really good runs off of 2. He's got that figured out. He's going to bring Dustin Wardlow maybe with him, but Goodman's going to have the inside line as they go into turn 3. We'll see if he can hold it as they cross the line. Looks like Josh is going to hang on the outside, get a little air on that front wing, let it turn a little bit better. And that's what you want to do, is that way you can cut underneath them. And here he goes.
Well, he got out of corner number 4 first. Will he get to the line first? He will not. As it was Joshua Chin. Mark that down when we get to lap number 199 and 200. Right behind him, they are too wide. That's on the top side is Wardlow. Down underneath is Havlicek. Kinsella thought he was going to drift up into the Candyman, but it's okay.
Yeah, they were both kind of merging into each other and got close there, but Andrew decides to fall back in line. Dustin's going to look on the inside of Josh Chin. They're all starting to stack up again behind him as everybody builds up speed, gets the draft going. We do have a little bit of a break there, but the race up front, here comes Josh Chin again, going to take the lead as they cross the line.
They continue to swap positions. Go ahead, Pete.
It's amazing just how much of a difference the draft is making as we see Nathan Lewis sets the fastest lap of the race and then quickly usurped by Arjuna Kankipati. Now, Richie, I'd love to get your opinion on this as a driver. I noticed there on the restart, what is it like when you've been under the caution for a little while? Do you have to be careful the first lap or so, or do the tyres come up to temperature very quickly?
No, actually, they come up pretty quickly. They feel pretty good on that first lap, and because you're not going quite as fast. But it's pretty good. It's really not a problem, especially when it's 109 degrees out.
For all those who were worried about how Sage Karam was going to do with an 11th place qualifying position, fear not. He's already picked up 5 spots. He is in 6th right now on the back of Brian Beard.
Yeah, I've been watching him a little bit. He's really taking his time. He's usually pretty aggressive early on in these races, but he's really kind of taking his time and let it just kind of come to him. Everybody's kind of doing that. Get a little farther back in the pack there. These guys are starting to shuffle around and making sure they don't lose that group. But up front, here comes Dustin Wardlow looking to go around the outside of 4. That's pretty bold.
They had plenty pre-race. Taffy's got plenty of energy from that Dewar's candy to keep him going. It's obviously not been on the more adult version of Dewar's, the Scotch. As he hits into 2nd place. He's looking really strong as the Candyman here, with our pole sitter Josh Chin sitting in 3rd place. I don't know about you guys, but it looks like Josh Chin is just sitting nice and comfy. He's very comfortable to run that pace, but just as I say that, there's a little bit of a gap emerging.
Yeah, well, what you can do really too is you can save a lot of fuel by just sitting behind people. You just lift off the throttle on all 4 corners. And Josh and Andrew behind him are really good at kind of extending out those windows. So I think that's what you're seeing. Those 2 guys up.
Want to drop back? Sorry, Richie, you left. You blonked out. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Want to go back to 14th position, car number 1. Somebody to keep an eye on. This is Adam Blocker. He's our 2-time champion, the defending champion. He's very good at just being patient as he's working to the inside of Damon Martinez. Richie, Adam knows it's a long way before we get to the chicken fat.
Yeah, he's another one of those veteran drivers, obviously winning the championship 2 years in a row. He's moved up 6 spots up to 14th, but there's no rush. Got a long ways to go. You don't want to put yourself in a position. If that pass is able to be made, take it. If not, just sit there and save some fuel. When I go back, Andrew Kinsella has just raced hard with Sage Karam going in turn 1. Sage Karam looked to the inside, but Andrew did not give him any quarter. So Sage is starting to push his way to the front a little bit harder.
Yeah, I also wonder if you're a real-world racer, I wonder if you get even less room by the sim racing guys determined to have their day in the sun with a real-world IndyCar driver. Have you had that in your experience so far, Richie?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, though, I think sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes they don't want to be that guy to take you out. So they kind of give you maybe sometimes a little bit more room. It just depends on the group you're racing with. All these guys out here are really respectful, and that's what makes this series so great to be involved with.
So you ride on board with Andrew Kinsella. Racing with the Sim Experience camera. Looking ahead. Started in 6th position, up a couple.
Yeah, he's using 5th gear there on the exit of turn 4, whereas Blocker, he was going down to 4th. It might have been something to do with the traffic, perhaps, but interesting to see the guys using slightly different techniques with the gear shifting.
Yeah, 5th gears is pretty much your average running gear. Fourth gear is if you really have to maybe get on the brakes or something. And then sixth gear is obviously your passing gear.
Let's go and check in on car number 40. We're look at Adrian Fernandez. He is up 8 positions already, well back in 26th position, following George and Zaldo.
Yeah, he was part of those guys that came in early, so he dropped to the back after that first yellow flag. And so he's steadily making his way up. Him, I think Chris Lanini, George, and Fernandez and Sandman all pitted on that early stop. So they're just kind of taking their way. If it goes green, they're going to move right to the front.
Indeed, Lanini is the leader of all those guys that came in. The difference is only about 5 laps, but we'll see Chris out front leading for a little while as soon as these guys have to make this pit stop, assuming we stay green.
Yeah, I think what it does too at this early in the race is it gives you a little bit more opportunity to maybe catch a yellow flag. If those guys have to pit under green, maybe you get a yellow and you get a free pit pass there.
Check back in on our leaders. It is Goodman and Wardlow doing a little waltz here as they beginning to get a little bit of a gap back to Josh Chin.
Yeah, another thing you can do here is you can if you work together, you can kind of leapfrog each other as long as you don't balk them too much in the pits or in the corners. And you can see Dustin Wardlow is going to get the draft, and then Michael Goodman kind of pulling behind, and he can suck up and they just kind of steadily pull away. But you got to have a dancing partner that knows what they're doing in order to make that work.
Yeah, Joshua Chin, you'll need to be careful, as you say, Richie, not to lose the draft back there. How many car lengths are we talking about for when that draft then disappears?
It's about it's more of a time gap, so it's about 2 seconds. If you can get about 2 seconds out, they don't have the draft anymore. So it does look like Josh and Andrew are starting to see that gap open up, and they're starting to push a little bit harder. But anywhere under 2 seconds, you're going to pick it up.
Peter, we got a profile driver. Who are we looking at today?
As we're looking at our leader, Dustin Wardlow, the Candyman of Dewar's Candy fame. He has 2 wins in the Lionheart series and 2 pole position. Joined us back at Homestead all the way back in season 5, and his best Indy 500 finish is only 24th. He doesn't have the strongest record here today, but clearly he's looking very, very strong in the early stages of this contest, as we're already at 10% distance. So keep an eye out for Dustin, one of our series sponsors as well. So big thanks to him for that.
Not to put too much of a gray cloud over him, but he has 3 Indy attempts. His first 2, he finished last, but he's doing okay now.
Yeah, he's sometimes you get in the front and you say, screw your fuel mileage. I'm going to get some TV time here early on. So he is pushing hard. He's opened up about 0.4 of a second, 0.5, well, it looks like 0.6 of a second almost now to Michael Goodman, who have now dropped basically Josh Chin and Andrew Kinsella, who have also dropped Sage Karam. So I think we're starting to see maybe a little bit of the tire wear that's coming into play. We've run a bunch of laps under green with that hot condition. You're going to have to know how to work the tools in the car. They do have the weight jacker they can play with. They also have their roll bars they can play with. So knowing how to adjust so you don't wear your tires out, that's really going to be key. And it's going to go to basically the smartest driver.
Let's go to 44. This is a 44th position. This is Harrington and Blocker in a battle. Sorry about that, Director. I didn't mean to do that to you. Now let's go and look at, let's jump up and look at, we'll stay where we are. Okay. We'll stay here.
Yeah, and it's a group of 3 basically, and they're going by somebody. I don't know who that is. They're going
Darren
by.
Ganji.
Oh, Darren Ganji. Man, he had such a good qualifying spot. So
he got the wall. We can catch it. That's why it was going slow. He was having a good run. He was in 9th position. Coming out of corner 2, he drifts up. Catches the wall and he loses spots.
Yeah, very easy. Of course, our drivers do not have any fast repair, which means normally drivers can come in and take one instant repair in the pits, but that is not available to our drivers. So even one tiny mistake and your Indy 500 is done. And it can just be you can have a faster car coming through behind you, move that a little bit wide onto the marbles, and wham, you're in the wall. And it's, as I say, there's no small accidents here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did lose 3 spots, but he's also lost the gap to Adam Blocker there, so he's kind of in no man's land. So he's going to have to just hang out there until the next round of pit stops. Doesn't look like he damaged his car. He's back up to speed. He just lost a lot of momentum for that lap.
See that yellow car at the top of your screen there? That's car number 4, James Krahula. Let's check in on him. Sitting back in a pinata full of bees right now. He's got Brian Carey ahead of him, Yazik behind him, Nathan Lewis, a rookie, also in that mix. They get that settled down a bit. Tony Schowen surprisingly far back in 20th position, but up 11 spots.
It's interesting because we've not got much to read into our qualifying from Wednesday, which was eventually scrapped due to technical issues. But remember, we saw that soup with the temperature going up to, at one point, 117 degrees Fahrenheit. And today there we go. It's climbed up 5 degrees Fahrenheit since the start of the race. As you say, Richie, that's going to be... these tyres are going to be getting pretty second-hand by now for the guys that haven't been in pit lane yet.
Yeah, it gets brutal out there. And really what's the biggest problem is the understeer. You pick up so much understeer, and then you have so much steering in the car to make it turn, and then the rear end kind of snaps on you. And fortunately, iRace is implemented even on the fixed setups that you now have some in-car tools to play with. So just knowing how to adjust that so you keep up with it. You don't want to, once the tires go bad, they're bad. So if you know how to stay a little ahead of the game, you can extend your tire life. Those are the guys that are going to basically succeed in the longer runs.
Lap times don't seem to be too bad, though. I look at what our leader is doing. His fastest lap was lap 10. He put in a 40.5. Right now, he's been putting in a 40.6, 40.7, 40.7. So I guess it's maybe a combination of the car getting lighter and the tires getting older that keeps it relatively even.
Yeah, pretty much. But the biggest thing you pay for it is in trying to pass somebody is that you just don't have any grip to carry that, to stay behind somebody in the corner. So really, you can see how everybody's kind of separated out, just like in the real world. It's the same thing. You kind of separate out, about a second apart, and that's where you run until you can get some fresh tires on that thing.
Indeed. Maybe we can go up and look at that from the blimp so you can get an idea of how they are really... Boy, I have never seen a Lionheart race where they are stretched out 10, 15 car lanes each. And that goes on all the way around the track.
I think they're knowing it's, of course, when we first started out the Indianapolis round of the Lionheart series, it was only a 250-mile race, but recently moved up to a 500-mile race. I think that the drivers are just being really, really clever and patient. Apart from Dustin Wardlow, he's driving like there's no tomorrow. He's driving like it's the last lap. It's great to see the Candyman putting in such great pace. But as you say, Richie, you would think 9/10 of a second to be clear of the draft, but I didn't realize the draft was as big as 2 seconds. That's a massive gap.
With the aero screen, it added a lot of drag to the car, so it opened up that draft window. So that's what I found out in the iRace Indy 500. It's about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. That's about the limit right there. After that, you just can't pick it up, but it's pretty far back.
I want to go back to car number 22. This is the Nathan Lewis. I apologize. Let me get to Chris Lanini is where I wanted to go. Sorry about that, director. I hit on the wrong one. Lanini's car number 92. Why do I care about him? I think he's going to be our leader here pretty soon. We are working lap number 29 now. That's about as far as they can go. There was a few yellow flag laps, but there was also the pace lap. So I think it's pretty close to pit stop time here in the next 2 or 3 laps. And look for Chris Lanini to be your leader for a little while.
Yeah, they're getting close. They'll probably be able to go, if they want to stretch it with those yellow flag laps, probably able to go to about 37 to 39 before they absolutely have to pit. But if you start losing too much time, you're better off just pitting and taking tires. And just remember, at the speeds they're going at 220 miles an hour, it's 100 yards a second that you lose as far as time stopped in the pits and time on the track.
Of course, as the tyres start to wear out as well, that does increase the chances, at least, of a caution happening. As you say, Richie, with that understeer, there's nothing more horrible than going around one of these corners at well over 200 miles an hour and the car's not wanting to turn. That must be a pretty horrible feeling when you're getting to the end of a stint and just it's almost survival mode, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. And just going through the field, everybody's separated way out, so everybody's probably feeling exactly that. We got Ken Hacker, Adam Blocker keeps getting, that's for position 7 and 8. I see Adam Blocker, he keeps getting a run on him, picks him up down the straightaway, but then as he gets to the corner, he has to back way out of it. Because once you go into the corner with that understeer, there's no recovering, and you're pretty much heading right for the wall, so you got to take it really careful. As you can see, Adam Blocker kind of closing up, and then he has to back off, and he just can't quite make the pass happen.
We had the cameras for a while on car number 51, Darren Ganji. Remember, we saw him get in the wall and lose a few positions. Apparently, he pancaked it perfectly because the car is still racing well. A nice run from Darren, a rookie. Down 4 spots from where he qualified, but nevertheless, still out there.
Yeah, he got lucky, just a little bit of a drag of the wall there, but he's able to recover, and he's just kind of sitting still. And just like everybody else is waiting for that fuel window to open. So we'll see who's going to be the first one to get some new tires. And then we'll really see where Chris Lanini ends up. Although it's only about 5-lap difference. Those guys might just pit with them and just kind of get back on the same cycle.
Got a few takers from the back coming in, but none of the front runners so far. Oh, as I say that, here comes our leader. In fact, here they come. Wardlow is in. Michael Goodman is in.
Yep. Kinsella, Karam, Chin, Beard, Hacker all stay out. Blocker stays out. So now we're going to start getting that mix. And really, it's going to see when Dustin comes out what kind of lap times he's going to run, and that's where he can make up some speed if Chin stays out.
Oh, I think that was good. Was that Goodman missed his box there? That's critical second or two there that he's lost, and Wardlow's already on the way, but Goodman's maybe had to short fill slightly there. But this will be interesting to see how long the others stay out for, because Wardlow and Goodman will have a huge advantage with their Firestone Firehawk tires, nice and fresh and ready to go.
Chin is in.
Yep, Chin is in. Kinsella and Karam stay out, as well as Brian Beard, Ken Hacker, Adam Blocker are all staying out for another lap.
Here goes Goodman all straight away, wanting to move past Dustin Wardlow. Dustin gives him bags of room as we see Chin coming into pit lane to get 4 new tyres and a big tank full of fuel. But here we go, this is pit stops happening under green flag conditions. This will be interesting to see how it pans out with those drivers that pitted under caution about 20 laps, or sorry, lap to go.
Goodman just came across the line right now. Chin is coming out of he's on the warm-up lane.
Go. They're right there.
And they go by him.
Yep, they're going by him right there. So they're going to cycle out to about the same. They're up to speed. Chin's going to be able to pick up their draft. Blocker's staying out still. Kinsella's in. Sage is in. So Adam Blocker doing his thing. He just kind of sat back there and saved fuel. So he's going to go another lap at least.
Peter, I think he may have called it. I think Michael Goodman, after he missed his box, right? He may have short filled because he got out there and he got around Wardlow.
Yeah, Wardlow was already in his pit box, stopped, and already beginning his pit stop, and Goodman was still having to reverse back. And of course, finding reverse gear does take a little while as well, and he had to nudge back, not far, but enough to make a difference. And I think, he would have had to just go back and short fill slightly, as we see Sage Karam get going from pit lane. So what we might see here is that Goodman might have to sit behind Wardlow, the Candyman, and try and use him as a little bit of a windbreak to help him save some fuel throughout this stint, and he'll be hoping for a few yellows, I would suspect. Chris
Lanini did get the lead, but now he's come in for a pit. I want to go ahead and see how these guys cycle out. Let's go ahead and stay on Wardlow.
Yeah, Chris Lanini is still out there. He was the leader of the pack that pitted early, so he is still out there, along with Concapati and Fernandez.
You are right, as expected.
So, yeah, Adam Blocker was credited the lead because his pit box was past the line, but really it's going to be Chris Lanini who's going to be credited with the lead right here.
But what I'm looking at, we can go to car number 93. Chin has got around Wardlow now.
And in fact, Karam here on screen right now. Lanini in the 92 in the black and purple. And oh, look at that, guys. Sage Karam, now he means business. 39.668. Incredible lap on those. Just shows you the benefit of those fresh tyres. But yeah, it's Lanini and Kankapati, and look at, there he is, Adrian Fernandez, the veteran, in third place. And he's relatively new to the sim racing world, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very new, and I've talked to him a few times on the phone trying to get him up to speed, so he's enjoying this a lot, he says, but he still admits he has a lot to learn. Like, he didn't know what netcode was and things like that, so we had to explain it to him, but he's doing a good job. Those 3 drivers are ones who pitted early, about 5 laps earlier than everybody else, so they should be coming in soon, but move them up to the front. If we get a yellow, this is where it all comes in and helps them out.
So, Richie, you were saying, Adrian, if something goes wrong and you clash into another driver, netcode. Just say netcode and you will be abolished of all blame.
Always.
Chin goes around at Fraser. Of course, Fraser still needs to make a pass and make his pit stop as he gets out of the way. He lets Wardlow go by as well, Goodman and Kinsella. Those are your front 4 right now.
Yeah, those are the original front 4 that came in on the standard green flag stop just recently. The other guys have changed up, so those guys are still in order. Andrew Kinsella, Sage Karam's trying to make a run up to the front. Be interested to see when these guys, Crislini, Kankapati, Fernandez, etc., all decide to come in.
Don't be surprised, though, if you see Michael Goodman be first to pit out of these guys, as Peter and I are suspecting that maybe he didn't put in a full fill to stay up with these guys after he mixed his box.
Yeah, he's going to have
Here
to
comes
do
Fraser.
He's going to have to do the Scott Dixon pink fluffy slippers and try and make fuel in that car to get it to the end of this stint. But as you say, that the draft is just massive. You can imagine if you're doing 230 miles an hour and the car in front of you is just punching the biggest hole in the air for you. It's just, you can change up that little bit easier, and you can really make a much easier time of it. But Richie, tell me, is there a limit of how close you want to get the car in front? Do you get the front tyres overheating if you follow the car in front too closely?
Here comes Chris Lanini. Sorry to cut you off there. Kankapati and Fernandez, that whole group is coming in. So we're going to shuffle back to our original leaders with Joshua Chin. And to answer your question, yes and no. You know, if you're in the car, you know, using a lot of steering, trying to stay behind the guy, if you're too close, you're going to burn those things up. So you just want to time your passes, maybe lift early and drive out strong with them. But you can see our leaders have all kind of shuffled back to the front. And you can see a little bit of a gap there. We got like about 6 cars, and then a big gap to the next group.
Yeah, but look who's leading that next group. We highlighted him earlier. It's the car number 1, Adam Blocker, racing in 6th position. Another driver who is sneaky fast is right behind Blocker, and that's Brian Beard. He qualified 3rd. Not really the best racer.
He did lead a few laps early on, but he's going to go ahead and leapfrog past Adam Blocker right here into 1. So Adam Blocker was struggling earlier to get around Ken Hacker. Now he's able to get in front of both these guys. Well, at least Brian's in front of him now, and move up into the top 10. But they got quite a gap up to Sage Karam. So it's about a 4-second gap up to those guys.
Yeah, if you're watching at home, watch that gap and see what Beard and Blocker can do to run down the leaders. Well, even not the leaders, if they get to the back of Karam.
Yeah, really, that's what they want, is they want to just kind of suck up at least to Karam. Karam's got a lap car behind him who's Scott Holmes, so he's sticking with this group. But, yeah, Beard and Blocker, they're switching off, passing each other, leapfrogging, and they know what they're doing. So we'll see if they can close that gap up.
Driver, I want to talk about car number 31, Tony Schowen. You can't forget about this guy. He started in 31st. Yes, he's all by himself in 19th. But watch out. He'll be coming. He's very fast on ovals.
Yeah, just slowly making his way up through the day, taking it nice and steady through that. Now, I want to talk about lap traffic, guys. What is the etiquette here for the lap traffic? Are they showing a blue flag, or do they have to give their own discretion for the car coming up behind if they're a lap ahead?
Both. They get a blue flag, but you don't need to let them by if you know you have the right to stay on the lead lap, because there's no lucky dog. So the only way you can get your lap back is if a yellow comes out and you can stay in front of the pace car. But everybody's usually pretty good, especially this early in the race. Might be a little different later on, people fighting to stay on that lead lap. But if you're a lap down, there's probably kind of a reason for it sometimes.
Nearly quarter distance already, guys. Lap 44, halfway through the kind of second stint so far. Now, Richie, the turn one is many drivers who have been to Indianapolis in the real world all talk about turn one and how it's a leap of faith. But you had one particular big move in your debut when you went round the outside round there. Talk us through how on earth you do that.
I am impressed that you know that. Yeah, that's how I got my third place finish, because I had to go around. God, I can't even remember who it was, but it was Roberto Guerrero. Yeah, so it was all or nothing at that point, and I decided I was either going to crash because it was getting near the end of the race. So, and he was kind of messing me up a little bit, and the leaders were pulling away, so I needed to get by him, and I just didn't lift. I made it, and what's fortunate about that is that I don't know if you guys remember the end of that race. There was that huge wreck at the checkered flag right behind me, which involved Roberto Guerrero, and that's when Alicio Salazar went up into the fence and everything, and so it's probably a good thing I did make that pass.
Let's look at car 78. This is a Junikin Capati. The reason I want to talk about him, he's one of these drivers that stayed out really long, so he may be able to get a piece of the lead here if he can stay on the lead lap, and I think he will. Richie, to go back to that race, that your rookie season, I don't think people know how close you came to winning that thing. You were a lap down and fought your way back. Am I right?
Yeah, I actually went a lap down because I stalled it in the first pit stop on my own, and then I unlapped myself with no help of the yellows.
Right.
I caught the leaders past them, and then got back around to the back of the group. And honestly, I would have won the race if there was a yellow flag at the end, because I had those guys in front of me, Davy Jones and Buddy Lazier, didn't have enough. They were saving fuel. I was burning fuel. So, but unfortunately, I was about a half a track behind. I kind of lost touch with them. And either way, it was quite an experience. Probably the most incredible race in my life, to tell you the truth.
Well, we got a pretty good one.
Richie, that was the fastest year ever in Indianapolis history. Still is the pole record set by Arie Luyendyk, 236 miles an hour. What was it like the first time as a rookie coming there in the fastest Indy cars of all time?
It was pretty much, like I say, is all or nothing. It took me three full days of practice to go flat through one, and it's just is like you just said earlier, like a leap of faith. And you didn't really think about it. You think about it now, how fast they were, but then I was just what was running, and you just had to hope for the best and trust the car. And it was awesome. I really, it was quite an experience.
Guys, I want to take you to car number one again. This is Adam Blocker. Remember we told you to watch and see what he could do? Well, he's only about less than a second behind Sage Karam now.
Yeah, he's caught up to Scott Holmes, was the lap car in between them, and Adam Blocker's been able to tag onto the back of Scott. Now he's trying to go around the outside. Scott's not making it very easy for him, that's for sure. Squeezing him up high. I'm sure Adam's not too happy about that. I don't know if he knew he was there, but that's helped him get up there. He did lose a little time to Sage, but he has been able to kind of tag on to the back and making his way up front. Started 20th, Adam Blocker. Now he's all the way up to 6th position.
Fighting to keep the leader from lapping you is one thing. Fighting to keep the car in 6th from going around you, well, that's maybe something a little different. Gap still only less than a second to Karam. That may where it may stop, because that's about the interval that they're all holding up front.
Yeah, they're all about halfway through their fuel stint. Everybody's kind of separated out quite a bit. I think everybody's kind of just riding it out. The middle part of the race, you just want to kind of ride it out a little bit. You get excited at the beginning, and then you get through this kind of lull until really about 50 laps to go, and that's about when the real race starts.
By my calculations, if it's green running from now on, they've got another 12 laps to go before these tanks are going to start running pretty empty. But we've interesting, only one yellow so far, only one caution period. So very, very clean race so far from our drivers. And you'll see on screen there, that's the good shot of the new Aero screen, which is made as an alternative to the I forgot the name of it now, Halo device that you see in Formula One. And apparently, according to Simon Pagino, last year's Indy 500 winner, he says it's very much like driving an LMP1 car, like a prototype with that big screen. But I get it best, it gets really hot in there with the sun beating down.
Yeah, I heard that's there. The vision is actually pretty good, but everybody's complaining about the heat, so they'll kind of get that sorted out. Might put some F ducts and stuff like that to help get a little air, and they'll figure that out. I just noticed that Brandon Linkerman is disconnected, so I don't know if he had a technical issue or something, but he is now out of the race. He was started 10th, but he is now out of the race.
I like it when they describe that Aero screen as a poker visor. I like that one. It looks just like something my grandma would wear when she's dealing the cards, stealing my nickels and dimes.
You can't trust these grandmas. But I have to say, I don't know about Richie, you've obviously done this in real life. I have no time for people that say, oh, that's taking away the gladiatorial nature of the sport and no, it's sanitizing. There is nothing sanitized about doing nearly 230 miles an hour around a corner, to me, and I think it's a fantastic addition by the series, and anything to keep the drivers safe so that we can preserve this brilliant race, this amazing sporting event, is thumbs up in my book.
Yeah, I was always skeptical of it. I think it looks great, and when you look back at some of even the cars that I ran in '96, we didn't have any head protection, and I just had a strap that held my helmet down on my shoulder, and that was just the way it was. But people did get killed because of that, so. If this saves lives, you definitely don't want to make it so sanitary to where the risk is kind of gone, because that's what makes it great. These guys are risking their lives, and but anything you can do to help kind of keep it a little bit safer is good. And I actually think it looks really good on the cars when they did the paint on the top and everything.
Yeah, I agree. It looks absolutely fantastic, and like you say, it's still. To me, at the start of the Indy 500, it looks like a group of fighter pilots going off to the skies. It's pretty much the closest thing you can get on land to being a fighter pilot. Everyone talks about Formula One drivers being fighter pilots, but no. To me, if you do the Indy 500, it's to me it's the ultimate of speed in motorsport, I think. Sorry, Soup. Just real quick, I did get a message that I guess Brandon had hit the wall on lap 20 and just had too much damage, had lost too much pace. He couldn't fix it, so he decided to exit.
I want to take you to one of our rookies, car number 22, Nathan Lewis, racing in 18th position, up 5. He's all by himself. When we look over how our rookies are doing, we got Chin up there, as we'll stay on Lewis for a little bit, give him a little love.
Yeah, our Josh obviously leading the point standings. No surprise that he's leading the race. But our other rookies that we talked about, Lewis and Frazier, they didn't qualify so good. Nathan Lewis moving up a few spots. Frazier, he's a lap down, so this is going to hurt, especially being a double points race is going to hurt him a little bit to see if it stays the way it is.
The rookie that's having a nice run is car number 51, Darren Ganji, in 13th. Yeah, he's 5 spots down from where he started. But nevertheless, sitting in 13th, this is a good race from him.
Yeah, definitely a good race.
Bad luck this season. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you're right. This is a really good showing. He did brush the wall a little bit, lost a couple spots, but he was able to hold his own. And if he can continue on, maybe get in a top 10, it'd be a great result for him.
All right, let's go to car number 62. I think maybe we got a pass coming here. This is Connor Harrington doing the best he can on the back of Larkamp, but boy, they get there and then they stay there.
Yeah, we're getting right near that time when the tires are burning up with that temperature on the track, so they're just kind of hanging in there. I'm sure all these guys are begging for more grip and trying to play with the tools a little bit. You can see the track temp still at 114, so that's not helping at all. It'll kind of get a little tighter as we get near the end, get a little more lap traffic involved. But, yep, it's all kind of just equal gaps all the way through.
Richie, what are you doing with the weight jacker at this point when the tyres are starting to go off? What does that device do, and how can the drivers play about with it while they're on board?
Oh, we got Adam Kinsella just went by a lap car and he brushed the wall. That was Adam Frazier, and that's pretty much tightened up the gap between him and Goodman. And then right behind them, here comes Adam Blocker on Sage Karam. So that lap car kind of tightened it all up. We got a little bit of action.
It was Frazier got in the wall right in front of Michael Goodman. Frazier able to keep it out there right now as Sage Karam gets around it. And right on board with Blocker, and Blocker is right on the heels of Karam.
Yeah, that group tightened up quite a bit with that lap traffic. You just lifted a little bit, lost all his momentum. So we got those 4 cars now starting to separate out a little bit. To go back on your point there on the weight jacker, it's just shifting the weight forward and back. So on the corners from the left front to the right rear. And, basically the more you put in. Oh, here comes Josh Chin. Josh Chin said he's had enough of this. He's coming in hot. Coming into the pits, locks it up. And I'll finish that talk there in a little bit.
As he comes in and finds a spot, I just want to highlight the drivers we want to watch, and I think that are going to inherit the lead here. I think it's going to be car number 78, Ajuna Kinkapati. He's going to be able to stay out there a little bit longer. Kinkapati, Weaver, Lanini, and Fernandez. Those are those order that they race of guys that can run probably 5 laps longer than everybody else.
Yeah, these are early pit stops, though. This is a little bit earlier than I thought they would be, but it must be getting pretty bad out there because, like I said, every second you lose on the track, or time-wise, it's 100 yards of the track. So sometimes you just got to come in, and you're just losing too much distance.
I think you're going to see Chin absolutely fly now with these new Firestone Firehawks on board his car. He only did a 26 lap stint there, so he definitely had another 3, 4, possibly even 5 laps in that car in terms of fuel. But as you say, he'd had enough with the tyres, and it'd be interesting to see if this gets mirrored then. And of course, this is where a good spotter here on iRacing is very, very important, to tell you what your competitors are doing so that you can mirror their strategy if you need to.
Just to give you an example, I mean, Dustin Wardlow's last lap was a 41.9. And, we saw Sage Karam on new tires come out and run in the 39. So for every second he loses, and he pits, he's going to come out, quite a bit farther behind than Josh. And so we'll see how this plays out. Could be a smart move.
We'll see what Chin can do on his first really hot lap. His out lap, of course, was very slow as he comes across the line right now. Remember, though, he's got a full tank of fuel, so maybe he can put the car, maybe it's easier to pass drivers, but I don't know if he's going to be going that much faster.
Yeah, if he can get the draft just right, he'll be able to run some fast laps. But here comes Dustin Wardlow's had enough. He's coming in, but that's going to leave Kinsella, Karam, Blocker, Goodman. They all stay out. So just the first 2 guys. Everybody's doing their own thing here, so it's really interesting to see right now.
Let's go ahead and stay on. Let's stay on Chin and see how he cycles out in relationship to Wardlow. Chin coming out of corner number 4 right now.
40.990 that last lap. That's his first flying lap effectively on these new tyres. So I suspect this one will be even quicker as they get up to full operating temperature. Let's see. Yep, quicker again for Chin. I have to say that's a good looking car he's got there. He's got some GSRC logos on, so big points there. It kind of reminds me of the old Silk Cut Jaguar Group C cars as well, which gets another big thumbs up in the commentary box here.
Yeah,
Chin blew by him. So
there's a perfect example. That extra lap, he lost about 2 seconds, and now, Chin is gone. So good move by him. Andrew Kinsella is going to stay out. So does Sage Karam. Sage Karam still out there? Yep, he's still out there as well as Blocker. So these guys are going to go and just tough it out and go to the end. And if they get a yellow, it's going to help them out quite a bit. But if they have to pit soon, they're going to find that Josh is long gone.
But it won't help them up that much because they're still on the lead lap. And I'm talking about Chin and Wardlow. So, Chin, even if the yellow does come out, they'll all gather up, and those guys that pitted early will still get their spot. Everybody's coming.
Now, I just want to talk about Michael Goodman, guys, because remember, we thought he might have short-filled after that little mistake coming into his pit box, but he's made us a liar, guys. There's a surprise. He had 32 laps on that stint there, so he's obviously been able to really save fuel very, very well, was Michael Goodman. So, yeah, he's been watching some Scott Dixon onboards and figuring out how to get those pink fluffy slippers on and save some fuel throughout that stint. Good job from him.
Yeah, Casella is now in. Adam Blocker is staying out. He's going to stay out for another lap.
Wardlow goes by Karam. So Karam cycles out, I believe, third of all the cars who've pitted.
This is where it gets all so complicated with the cars on all kinds of different strategies as well. Because we've only had one caution period so far in 67 laps, there's lots of cars doing very, very different strategies, and we're seeing as much as 7 or 8 laps difference in stint length as well. So that can be down to the tires as well. Oh, here comes Blocker, the number 1 in the blue machine.
Kinsella made his stop. He's going to cycle out behind Jay Brandt in about 9th position. Now, some of those will be a little bit bigger as a little bit move up as some of those guys are going to pit ahead of them. Chin racing in 7th.
Yeah, he's in front of Jay Brandt right now. So we'll see where these guys, when it all cycles through, how much farther ahead. As Jay Brandt is actually, or Samuel Ryman is going to go by Josh right now. He's picked up the draft.
And now, as expected, we can't ignore this guy. Let's go look at 78. This is a Juna Kinkapati. I can't do the math this far out, but if this stays green, and it happens that the race ends in these magic, 5 laps that Kinkapati is your leader, well, there you have it.
Yeah, he's run 28 laps so far on this stint, so he can, if he's been good throughout this stint, he can maybe squeeze out a couple more laps if he wants to, but now that he's in clean air, maybe he might just want to keep going, or he might think, I would prefer to use the draft, kind of come in and get some new boots on there. So let's just have a look and see what his last lap was. He's running a 40.796 last time round, so still got good pace in that 78 car.
He would like to do it. I'm not sure he can do it in 3 stops from here. He would have to see he has another 130 laps to go. He'd have to do I don't know if he's going to get there.
You know, I just noticed that Damon Martinez has crashed out of the race. We didn't catch it. It was back on lap 57. We're obviously not going to go back and see it, but he clipped the wall. I just want to give him some recognition that why he's out of the race, but he clipped the wall out of 1 and kind of got caught in the fence on the inside of 1 and 2. And because he was off the track, there was no yellow flag, but that's why we don't see Damon Martinez anymore.
Richie just kind of pushed up into the wall.
Lane there with big damage.
Here comes Kinkapati coming in. Yellow flag.
Oh, yellow flag.
Oh, it is Scott Holmes, a big one out of 4. Right in front of Brian Greenlee. In fact, I think Brian Greenlee got a piece of this one and he ended up in the wall. Let's take 2 looks.
What does this mean?
Those guys who stayed out should be able to. They'll won't lose a lap. Everyone will come around as we look at this accident here with Greenlee.
It's Fernandez. He's on lap 31 of his stint, so he's timed this absolutely perfectly. Lanini also on lap 30 of this stint, and Jay Brandt on lap 31 of his stint. So they can make their stop under yellow now and make a big jump.
Go back and look at it one more time, Director. You can see the Greenlee and Holmes get together. Just back it up a bit. There we go. Now there's Greenlee goes to the outside.
Yeah,
Holmes goes in.
Holmes was a lap down, and we almost saw that happen earlier when I think it was Adam Blocker trying to go around Scott Holmes, and almost the same thing coming off of 4. And obviously his spotter didn't tell him that Greenlee was there, and that's going to end the race.
So Lanini is our leader. He'll come in this time. Now, Lanini and Fernandez will lose these spots. They'll go well back in the order when they do pit, but they're not going to lose a lap. They'll be a lot closer to the leaders than they would have been, and they'll have a cushion of about 5 or 6 laps on these guys.
Yeah, that's about the distance that they had earlier because they pitted on that first yellow flag. So both Lanini and Fernandez staying on the same schedule.
Oh, look at Joshua Chin coming into pit lane here. So taking the opportunity to get some fresh rubber. Not much fuel to go in. He's not been out that long, guys. So that's interesting call there from Joshua Chin in the 93.
Well, I think where the race is going, we haven't had a lot of yellow flags, so you want to take them when you can get them. And this is going to be pretty much put the whole field on the same schedule from now on.
Well,
look at Adrian Fernandez. He's ahead of Joshua Chin now with the field resetting itself. So big
Peter,
move from our veteran. Sorry, Soup.
Peter, you said you saw Blocker go 32 laps, right, on a stint? Right?
Yes.
32 and 32 is 64. That turns into 128. That gets you really close to getting there on one less stop than the guys who stay out.
Yeah,
I think
it looked like you got to work hard to make that
guys
time.
Stayed out. Yeah, it looks like Justin Weaver and one other car and Adam Frazier stayed out.
What we'll do right now is take a short break. Don't go far. We'll be back when we go green. You're watching the Global Sim Racing channel on the iRacing Esports Network. The pace car just pulled in. We're working lap number 74. Our leader is Dustin Wardlow. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the HyperX Indianapolis 500 in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Here's what's going on. Dustin Wardlow is your leader. The car right behind him is George Ansaldo. He is laps down. Nathan Lewis is in second, and third is James Grahula, and his fourth is Tony Shalom, but they all have about 8-lap older tires than the driver in fifth. Who could it be? None other than 11-time real-world IndyCar winner, Adrian Fernandez. Fernandez with some fresh rubber now can have some fun. Watch out, though, for Joshua Chin. He's been the fastest car all day. He's got fresh rubber. He's got Fernandez in front of him. Look at the blue and white car of Chin move to the inside. Fernandez is very new to iRacing. He does a good job of keeping the car going straight. Chin makes the pass, pulls up right behind Tony Schowen, and now he has to tuck back in there. Schowen is a veteran of Lionheart. He knows how to do it, but he leaves plenty of room for Chin. Chin is a coming.
Yeah, Nathan Lewis just blew.
Look, I'm sorry, here comes diving down in there was Karam making a move. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Fernandez thought better of that and backed out. Karam was flying.
Yeah, he had the momentum. He wasn't going to lift, and Adrian Fernandez did the better thing of just taking it easy. We still have 125 laps to go. But I was going to say, Nathan Lewis just blew by Dustin Wardlow. But George Anzaldo is trying to fight to stay on that lead lap so that he can get it if the yellow flag comes out. So he's kind of making everybody's stacking up back there. But, boy, look at that. Look at Fernandez pull out to make a move. Everybody's fanning out. The racing's back on.
Wardlow works his way around Krahula. Well out in front is Nathan Lewis. He is flying. He's got Anzaldo a lap down. George wants to get that lap back. Like Richie said, if the yellow comes out, he'll come all the way around. The action is back in fourth position. It is Chin with fresh rubber and Karam.
That was Karen.
Was that Karam? Karam's done. Oh.
So we look at Schowen. I think, boy, it was net code, and he gets into it with Jay Brandt. It was net code with the car on the outside of Michael Goodman. Goodman hip checks him, but he doesn't really. Schowen goes to the inside and gets pushed.
Yeah, well, it started with Goodman. He brushed the wall, and it kind of brought him back to the inside, and that netcode predictor just kind of predicted them to collide, and they didn't really. And then that started all off. Yep.
Goodman got in the wall, bumped into Schowen. Schowen came across and collected Jay Brandt. And then both those cars spun out into the middle of the track. And there was no room. I think another car that caught him going by was Scotty Johnson. Also involved in it, Joe Branch. How about if we have time and onboard from Arjuna Kinkapati, car number 78. He kind of pulls an A.J. Foyt back in 1964 and just kind of weaves his way through the smoking rubble in front of him. There goes Kinkapati.
Yeah, well, good perception there from Arjuna. Of course, Arjuna, a commentator and producer, so he's obviously seen many a wreck like that and using that experience to cut his way through the pack then. So we get neutralised yet again. So this sort of evens things out a little bit more. But as I say that, look at pit lane getting very, very busy with drivers coming in for tyres and fuel.
Yeah, and right now, George Anzaldo, that's why you saw him fighting so hard to stay on the lead lap. He did not get it, and because Nathan Lewis decided not to pit, that's going to keep George a lap down.
You had to hear Anzaldo saying, "Really, Nathan? Really? You don't want to pit here?" Telling him all the advantages of fresh rubber. Lewis will hear nothing of it. He stays out there. Anzaldo remains pins behind him. Krahula stays out. Now Chin and Karam have worked their way around some of those other cars. Fernandez is fresh rubber as well.
Another car that was out early in the race that we didn't talk about was George Sandman went out. I just saw a post. He said he hit a cone and it bent his front wing, and then is having problems with his rift as well. He's getting a little choppy, so he decided to park it.
So Peter, it's Lewis and Krahula are the two cars that are on the alternate strategy. Everybody else has fresh rubber except for these guys who just came in, and they're pretty much in the same strategy as the guys that stayed out.
Yeah,
and we got Jane Pauley, the native from Indianapolis, is our pace car driver today. Hi, Jane. And, of course, that's Captain Scott Crossfield, famous test pilot up in the blimp. Thank you, guys, for doing the work you do. Go, Peter.
I have to say, getting behind the wheel of a proper Ford Mustang around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway would be pretty special indeed. Although I have to say, you wouldn't, you would need, you imagine the tires getting very, very cozy going around at any kind of speed in a car like that as well. Of course, the Indianapolis 500, we've seen some incredible cars and drivers, of course, driving the pace car. Richie, do you remember who was driving the pace car in your debut at the
I couldn't even
Indianapolis
tell you
Motor
what I couldn't even tell you what the pace car was. I was so stressed out.
It was a blue Dodge Viper V10.
You know what? Now I do remember because I knew I remember I wanted it. You know, that day.
Is that why you thought, I'm going around the outside, I'm going to win that Viper?
That would have been nice, but I remember that day it rained, and the race was delayed, so there was a lot of stress involved. So I can tell you exactly what I was listening to on the way to the track on the radio, but once I got to the track to the start of the race, is all blur.
The lights are out on the pace car.
Shania Twain. Yeah, I was listening to the
which
whole
song?
album.
That's very clear. Man, I Feel Like a Woman. That was a good album. That was good.
Yeah, it was that album. Yeah, you're really good with that.
My dad had that album in the car. I think he fancied Shania Twain. I think everybody's dad did at that time.
Sorry, Sean.
So let me tell you what's going on here. You have Lewis and Krahula out in front on about 14 lap old tires. And then mainly everybody else. Chin is about on 7 lap old tires behind them. But then you have another group of drivers that go back, and it looks like it is Wardlow and Yazik that came in and topped off this stint. So 3 different strategies going on right now. Nathan Lewis, our rookie, he's got nobody in front of him. He can stay out in front for a good, let's say, another 15 laps or so. I don't think anyone's going to get around him.
Yeah, if he wants to stay out the whole way. But, man, George Anzaldo was probably hoping he would pit. That was his chance. Now he's going to have to do all the work again. He's going to get a run on Nathan. Nathan's going to go to the inside. He's going to try to hold him back. But here comes James Krahula, and Josh Chin's going to get a run on James Krahula. So we're getting to go basically 2 by 2 into turn 3.
Boy,
look at that drive through there. Sage Karam and Josh Chin have both got 8 laps younger tires, and look at Fernandez as well. He's the same, and there you go. There's your difference. Just able to drive underneath on the inside with just so much grip. Look at Chin, even coming around the outside. He's gonna do a Hearn here into turn 1.
Yeah, he's going to hang on out there, and if you can make this move, you can get the run off of 2. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Well, I don't know. It's going to be close. Since Nathan Lewis is a rookie, he's probably giving him a little bit of a wide berth, but here comes Sage Karam. He's going to get the double draft to go right down in between around him and probably take the lead here. Here comes Fernandez as well.
Lewis was doing all he could to hold off Chin, and he forgot about Sage. Sage goes around him. Watch out for Fernandez. He's in the same kind of rubber as Chin has. And as Karam, as both of those guys work their way across the line, Chin's going to get credit with leading that lap.
Yeah, and both, I believe it was Chin and Sage that had that little issue. Oh, no, sorry, that was Adam Blocker. Never mind. Scratch that.
George
Anzaldo. Sorry, Soup.
Go ahead.
Saying Goodman and Krahula getting very, very racy there on the start-finish straight, getting very, very weaving around, and that is one surefire way to end up in a wreck. You look at the guys at the front; they're making all their moves very carefully, confidently as well. And I think we see that so many times as Joshua Chin looks to take the lead of the race from Sage Karam. He's going to get it done into turn 1. Good move.
Yeah, bringing along Adrian Fernandez all the way up from 34th to 3rd. He's doing a good job just kind of watching what these guys are doing right behind him. Nathan Lewis kind of hanging in there, but Andrew Kinsella's got around him with Adam Blocker and the 3rd car in that group. So we got all these proper cars running up front. It's going to be a wild one.
This run from Fernandez is remarkable. Richie, you talked about it earlier. He doesn't know anything about sim racing. He didn't know what netcode was. And he's racing up in 3rd position right now, doing a great job as there's another swap for the lead. Karam gets around Chin this time.
Yeah, he got Fernandez was on that alternate starting to begin with, and then got basically with that yellow flag came out, put him up into the front on the same strategy as all these guys. So it's worked out well for him. He's doing a good job. He does have Andrew Kinsella, Adam Blocker, some of the veterans right behind him. So he's going to have his hands full here in a minute.
Who's going to take the soundbite? Fernandez hits the front, because you know that's going to be a good one here on the Ice Racing Esports Network. Because I tell you what, I think he's got the gun loaded here. Fernandez, he looks really comfortable behind the chargers of Karam and Chin, and you know Karam and Chin, they're making each other work hard, and Fernandez just sitting there biding his time, showing his experience. And like you say, it might be new to sim racing, but that real world experience is really being exploited well here.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing the same from Andrew Kinsella and Blocker. They're just doing their thing, saving fuel. Yellow flag's out.
Ken Hacker gets in the outside right in front. You know what? I think it was just a little bit of target fixation on Darren Ganji. Hacker goes in the wall, and Ganji follows him there. As we'll come and get our replay here in a minute.
Just while we're waiting on the caution, guys, just noticed in iRacing, I must apologise, saying that the dust and the marbles thrown up from the tyres over the race, that actually will not apply because the sim is set to clean those marbles. So that means that all the room on the track will be available. So let's have a look.
And then I want to look at it again from a Junikin Compati here once we find, because he gets a good look at it. He goes right between them.
Yeah, if you watch the replay, basically Ken Hacker drifts up, but also right behind him, I think that's
Ganji, right.
He does the same thing and bounces off the wall. They both like do a double hit here.
Watch from Ken Compati, he goes right between them.
Yep. So
I'd be surprised if Arjuna didn't have a little bit of front wing contact there. If not, it was so close.
That's the second time Ganji's brushed the wall. I don't know if he got away with this time. Yeah, it does look like him, Ganji and Kankapati kind of clipped the wing of Kankapati as he went in. Oh, there he is. Yeah, unfortunately.
Does this mean Nathan Lewis finally makes a pit stop, or has he just said, I'm going to run it out all the way? Oh, look at this. A lot of people coming in. You think tires are important? Chin and Karam come in. They leave Adrian Fernandez out there.
Yeah, but Fernandez is out there staying with Kinsella and Blocker. I mean, those guys are the best as far as strategy goes. So Adrian Fernandez is going to be the leader. He's done 16 laps since his last run with these yellow flags. He should be able to get to about a lap 30, 35 maybe, if he wants to stay out there the whole time. You never know what's going to happen between them, but I think you could go either way on this. The problem is, like with Chin and Sage pitting, is that now they're stuck in the back with everybody again, and that's where it gets a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, that's a risk in itself, isn't it, to be back in that pack? And it's going to be interesting because also Chin, and as we said, Chin and Karam were the ones doing all the hard work, and Fernandez, Blocker, etc., they were the ones sitting biding their time, and that could allow them to make a little bit of a move here. But look, there's Karam. He's pitted, and he's in 7th place. So actually, for Karam and Chin, they've not got too much to work through to get on top of Fernandez and Kinsella.
I don't know what happened with Chin's pit stop. They both came in together, and now there's about 5 cars in between them.
No, I think they're right behind each other. I'm looking at their Karam in 7th and Chin right behind.
You're right. My bad. Yeah, they're right.
What's interesting is everybody still needs to make 2 more stops from here, whether you are the guys who just came in or Fernandez and Kinsella and Blocker and who are staying out.
It's right on the cusp of 2 and 3 stops, I think. And I think with the cautions that we've seen, we probably will see 3. So fuel saving not going to be too much of a problem. I wouldn't wager as well. Of course, these new IndyCars as well. You can either run with a Chevrolet motor or a Honda motor, but the chassis are all identical, made by the legendary manufacturer, Dallara. Did you ever drive a Dallara in your career, Richie?
Oh yeah, I've pretty much Dallara, G-Force, Reynard, Lola, Swift, you name it, I've done it.
You have a ride-along mechanic with you, or was that
Nah,
before your
I
time?
was just after that.
Okay.
I just missed that. Yeah.
Soup.
I don't, talking about the race here, I don't think it's going to be a fuel mileage thing here. I think it's all going to come down to when do you want those fresh tires, or how do you want to end the race on what kind of tires. And I think that's what is going to make the decisions on when these guys come in or stay out.
Boy, starting to do the math. Can these guys go with 2 more stops? They've been out there a couple yellow flags. They've probably got another 20 laps to go. That gets them to 68. Boy, can they do 34? I don't know if they can do it in 2 more stops. Or we'll see. We'll figure it out.
It needs some help, obviously, and it's still got a long ways to go. We're not even halfway yet, but I think, like I said, it just depends on how you want your car to feel.
Yep.
Right now, like Fernandez, he was running in the back for a long time. Now he's up front, and it's nice up there. So sometimes you want to just stay out of have some clean running for a little while. But we do have 112 laps to go still.
Yeah, thank you, Richie. I got to let me put some money in the jar. I did it again. It's the 88 is how many laps are in, not how many laps to go. Forget all my math calculations. It's not a Lionheart broadcast unless Soup does that at least once. Jane Pauley pulls the pace car into pit lane. Let's go racing. Adrian Fernandez is out in front, so far away from the checkered flag, he doesn't need to worry about figuring pit strategy out. Kinsella in second, Blocker and Krahula. Galvin races in fifth.
I don't know what happened on that restart, but Dustin Wardlow, a couple guys pitted and forced Sage Karam to wait so he didn't get a penalty. And now there's a huge gap between Wardlow and Karam. Well, that was weird. 2 guys pitted and Sage can't pass him before the green flag, so it really balked him up.
We've seen that before. When you pit as they're going green, the cars go into pit lane, but iRacing won't let you pass. If you do pass them, even though they're in pit lane, you get a penalty. Really, really smart on Karam's part to know that.
There we go. Andrew Kinsella and Blocker getting around Aiden Fernandez. Aiden Fernandez getting real close to going around James Krahula. These guys are racing pretty hard right now. These looks like top 6 cars all stuck together.
Yeah, but what happened was we got guys up here, Kinsella, Blocker, of course they're fast, Fernandez, Krahula. We haven't talked much about Jason Galvin. Been really quiet sitting up there. Car number 42 as we race on board with the onboard camera from Galvin.
Yeah, he started 9th, but he's been pretty quiet. We haven't heard much about him, but now he's up in that lead group as Adam Blocker goes by Andrew Kinsella. And if I was Adrian Fernandez, I would just let these guys race it out and just save behind them and just save as much fuel at this point.
Yeah, he's going to make that really carefully crafted decision with all his experience. Of course, Jason Galvin, he'll be getting upset that we're not giving him a mention since he's one of our fellow GSRC commentators as well. And of course, Jason, his favourite cocktail is the Godfather, which is a mixture of Dewar Scotch whiskey and Disaronno, which to me sounds pretty foul, I must be honest.
Oh, the God.
Laps or so. So lap 93 of 200 gone as we see one car going into pit lane. I missed who that was. We've got a lot of cars. Oh, some mind games there. Some cars throwing a fake going into pit lane as well, as we see Sage Karam goes up the inside of Jason Galvin there on the low side. Very strong move there from the number 2 man with Galvin in the 42 now tucking in behind him.
Here we go. We have.
Look who's.
I believe.
Sorry.
Hi, Peter. Good. I my little technical issues there. Thank you for picking up.
Not a problem. Have we got Richie?
I'm back. Yes,
We do.
And as that, we have a pass for the lead as Adam Blocker goes underneath Andrew Kinsella. Working lap number 95 here. Fernandez.
Andrew Kinsella. Sorry, Sue.
Hang it.
Andrew Kinsella there, he's definitely taking it easy. He had a big run on Adam Blocker there, but he definitely took the foot off the gas, and they're not far from the end of their stint, another 6 or 7 laps, and they'll be having to come into pit lane, and crucially, having is the word, not wanting to come into pit lane. So look at that there, Kinsella he'll definitely be breathing off the throttle there, keeping his tyres in good condition for the final part of the stint, and saving fuel to try and jump Blocker when they come into pit lane.
Yeah, we had an incident with Wardlow, one of our lead drivers early on with Josh Chin. And we got play coming up as they go through turn 4. You can see this is turn 3. They're side by side going into turn 4. And they're just going to get a little bit too close. And unfortunately, Wardlow's going to get sucked into the wall. It damages his car. And that's going to be end of his day. Unfortunately, he had a good run. And didn't cause a yellow, but unfortunately ended his day.
That is our profile driver, and so often the curse of the profile. That claims another victim. Talk about curse of commentator's curse. Richie, last race, you were deadly.
I got a lot of comments on the Lionheart Discord about please don't talk about me. So right now, Adam Blocker and Andrew Kinsella doing a good job. Just kind of doing their thing. They've gapped Adrian Fernandez quite a bit by about 1.8 seconds.
We should have had our director, Sean Ambrose, put up a map of North Korea while you were talking.
Right.
Get that peninsula denuked like that, man.
Right. On board with Sage Karam. He's doing a good job staying with James Grewal. We're getting to that point in the run that although Sage Karam's got fresher tires than James Grewal has been out there for quite a while. Same with Adrian Fernandez. These guys are hanging in there. Probably see them coming in for pretty soon, but we're coming up to halfway, and we're seeing how it's sorting itself out.
Yeah, Krahula on lap 30 of his stint. Of course, a few of those will have been under caution, but you got to think that Krahula's only got a few gallons left in that tank in his Dallara IndyCar machine. And Karam, you got to think that Karam is just biding his time. Like you said earlier, Richie, not worrying. Well, like you say, if your tires are going off, it's too late to do anything about it. I think he's only got 11 laps on those tires. So I think he's just taking it nice and steady and hoping he can just make that a good run here.
HyperX has a giveaway. Guess the winner or guess the leader at the halfway mark. Win yourself a prize. If you guessed Adam Blocker, you're one of the lucky viewers who will get a chance for a prize. Thank you, HyperX, for all you do.
That's a pretty cool contest that they did, giving away some really cool things. But going back on Sage Karam, he knows that all these guys in front of him have to pit soon. He pitted before them. He's better off just kind of hanging out. Him and Josh Chin are the ones that are on this other strategy. So there's no reason for him to push that issue.
Yeah, now Karam and Chin were together, but the contact with Lordlow has dropped Chin well behind Karam now. Drivers who will be coming in: Blocker, Krahula, Fernandez, Kinsella.
Yeah, Kinsella. Those top 4 drivers Although Krahula's got the most laps on his tires than anybody else, or at least as far as the fuel goes. But these 4 guys will be coming in within the next couple of laps.
Let's throw Galvin in the mix as well. Right now, these guys are hoping they're thinking of rivers in China and ribbons around old oak trees. They need something yellow right now. If a yellow were to come out, I would imagine everybody would come in, and it would not be as costly.
I'll definitely come in if there's a yellow. We've had a lot of green flag running, which has been great to see. But at that point, you got to take every yellow because it's a free pit stop. But yeah, everybody's spread out. I'm not expecting a yellow anytime soon, although I just ruined it right there. But we'll see what happens. Sage Karam just kind of hanging out. He's gapped Jason Galvin and Josh Chin, but Josh is on the same strategy.
Fewest yellows they've ever had in a full 500-mile race here for Lionheart is 2. I think they've had the most is 7. Let's hope that record remains unbroken. Now here's kind of a tale of 2 cities here, Peter, as we look at Galvin and Chin. Galvin's not going to be out there much longer, so Joshua, if you're having trouble getting by him, fear not. The Bakerfields boy is going to be pulling off in a few laps.
Yeah, the Emmy Award-winning Jason Galvin from, was it Good Morning Bakersfield or Wakey Wakey Bakersfield?
Wakey Bakersfield.
Wakey Bakersfield. There we are. Emmy Award winner Jason Galvin in the number 42 car as well. Long-standing driver here on iRacing. I think he's been in since the very beginning, since 2008 when the service launched for the first time. And will you look at it now as we look at Joshua Chin in his, I have to say, I can't stop thinking about the silk cut Jaguar paint scheme there with that purple and white paint scheme.
Gonna jump you around a bit. There's a driver that I keep my eye on here. Car number 78, Ajuna Kinkapati, gridded in 37th, racing in 14th. He is our hard charger. I'm not sure if he has the legs to race with the guys up front or if this is just a matter of the cards being dealt in the right order for him, but great run from the rookie. He works on the back of Brian Carey. I think he can probably get Carey.
Incredibly, James Krahula is on lap 36 of his stint. He's got to be on fumes by now, and also not only on fumes in the fuel tank, you've got to be on cords on those Firestone tyres. So Krahula, if he keeps going around, he might, I don't know if see one of these cars is coming to pit lane now.
Now you can see that track temp way up to 117 as these guys are running around. Definitely James Krahula is begging for a yellow flag because everybody would come in and he'd be on the same strategy, but that's not happening at the minute. Adam Blocker's doing a good job. He's working lap 33 since his last stop, but he's going to stay out again. We did have some yellows there, so that's going to help. So we'll probably get to, I saw earlier, I think we got to lap 40 before those guys pitted.
2 caution periods.
I have to say, Krahula's doing the thing when you're late for work and you jump in the car in the morning and the fuel light's on, you're like, oh no, and you have to go in the big fuel save mode, but then you're also late for work and he's having to keep going, and we've all been there and we've all had that, as they call it, range anxiety, and he's got to be running really, really light on fuel. But that being said, there were a couple of cautions, so of course you get about 2 laps under caution for every 1 under green. So as we see, he's just about to come round the final part of the lap. Is he going to come into pit lane?
Yep,
he is.
So Peter, you're saying when I'm in that situation, driving fast to work before my fuel runs out is not the best strategy then? I've been doing that for all my life.
You probably want to find a truck and sit behind it and give them a tow.
Krahula is weaving the car back and forth as if he's out of fuel. I don't think that really helps in iRacing. He rolls into a spot. He might have drained that thing dry.
Yeah, there's no pickup system in the virtual world.
Yeah, you're thinking. Sometimes I've had times where going, can I walk it to go and get gas on foot and walk back? Sometimes you're coming to that realization, but touch wood, haven't done it yet, and you know that's going to happen to me next week now.
And one thing you just got to notice, that pit stop was 10 seconds long, so he definitely was out of fuel And because it was so long, he got lapped by Adam Blocker right there. So if the yellow flag comes out, things will be a little different. But there's Andrew Kinsella coming in. Adrian Fernandez is now in second. He's hanging in there with Adam Blocker as far as fuel run. Adam Blocker's coming in this lap. And we'll see Adrian Fernandez is coming in as well. That's going to put Sage Karam and Chin up front. Jason Galvin is exiting.
Sage Karam looking very, very strong here. And as veterans of the commentary box for the Lionheart Series, guys, has there ever been a driver who's won the Retro Series race and the Modern Series race?
Don't think in the same year. Don't think in the same year.
And of course, Karam, he's set up the spoiler alert. Sorry, Karam has set up that possible double, hasn't he?
Indeed. What I'd like you to do is look at the tower at Kinsella right now and see the distance, all the distance that he put on. In fact, so far back as Krahula. I really think Krahula ran out of fuel. I believe he brought it in really slow. As Kinsella and Krahula were close together before they came in.
And his pit stop was long. It was 10 seconds. So it just took that much longer to get fuel. Well, here comes Adam Blocker and Andrew Kinsella are back together here. We're going to see soon Sage Karam, or not soon, but Sage Karam and Josh Chin probably have about another 10 laps or so before they have to pit.
Okay, Lord help me, I'm going to try this again. We have 90 laps to go.
Correct.
30, 30, and 30 is what that means. That means there's 2 stops left for these guys, assuming we go green. Let's go ahead and talk to our profile driver, the Candyman, Dustin Wardlow. Let's bring him down in. Dustin, this place is not very kind to you, and I thought you had it wired this time.
Well, I was certainly hoping so. It felt really good. I had a better queue than I expected. I haven't been, that quick, and the car just felt really, really good. And then I started, trying some things with off-cycle pit stops and letting guys by that were fresher, and it just didn't pan out.
So what's the deal when the tires start to wear? It looks like it's impossible to go around anybody.
There's a sweet groove. I don't know if anybody's listening to this while they're driving, but it's nice if you're shooting for the middle lane at the apex. You can get a lot going on there. It doesn't hurt the car too much on the wash, and you carry a lot more straight line speed. So it's doable, but it is a horribly bad pushing car.
You were racing with a lot of the top guys. You get a feel for anybody who looks really strong?
Well, you never, ever count Sage out. Doesn't matter where he starts or how long he lays back. But, and I thought Goodman had a pretty strong run there for a while. But, I see there's a few guys, Chin and Sage for sure. Wouldn't count out Harrington, or Brian Beard is kind of one of the strong front runners all week.
And we'll get you out of here on this one. We have to clear one thing up with our new partner here, Peter McKay, who continues to try to link Dewar's Candy with Dewar's Whiskey. There is no relationship between the two. Am I correct on this?
Absolutely zero. But the funny part is after hearing the previous broadcast, I actually am sitting here right now after I got wrecked out with Scotch and Disaronno. It's good. It's not.
So you've been listening to Jason Galvin, his bad habits, Dustin.
Yeah. I do get this from time when we go out, man, and it's not as bad as you think.
All right,
what we can say, Dustin, is that you're obviously, this place hasn't been too kind to you, but you could say that you're the Michael Andretti of Lionheart. How does that sound?
Wow. Well, I'm a Rick Mears fan. I'd rather be the Rick Mears of Lionheart. So hopefully he starts treating me a little better.
Bakersfield guys, stick together. Thank you. Good luck, Dustin. We'll see you down the road.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Dustin, of course, hails out of Bakersfield, as does Jason Galvin and 4-time Indianapolis winner Rick Mears. And
of course, Rick's son Casey Mears actually brought alongside the Lionheart himself, Dan Wheldon and also Scott Dixon, brought Chip Ganassi his first of many Rolex 24-hour Daytona victories.
Another California driver's up here with us right now, Richie Hearn. Richie, a lot of the drivers have a dad that raced it. Is that how it worked for you?
Yeah, my dad and my mom both raced. They raced a Corvette. My mom raced it in the women's division in SCCA, like Solo 2, and my dad raced it in the men's division.
Okay, I know 1970 was a different time, but is the rumor true? Did she actually have you in the race car before you were born?
That is absolutely true. She was still pregnant with me when she was racing.
Talk about a guy born to racing. Whew.
Let's go back. We were showing, there you go, the leader right there, James Krahula. James Krahula is running fourth earlier on, had to pit, ran out of gas, long pit stop, lost a lap, got his lap back when those guys pitted, but now he's got Sage Karam right behind him. So he's got to fight for everything he can to stay on that lead lap because he's the last car in a lead lap. And that way yellow comes from. If he goes down a lap, it's pretty much game over for him. So I'm seeing that right now. You can see it's Krahula is running in 21st spot, but he's got to hold on so he has a chance at the end.
Krahula's only got 9 laps on those tyres and Karam's got 30, so hopefully that tyre advantage should be able to keep him ahead, hopefully to keep him on the lead lap. It would be a shame to see him drop off the lead lap. But it's on the subject of Karam and Chin, they're both on lap 30 of their stints, and the majority of which has been under green. So for the guys like Fernandez and Blocker and such, they really need it to stay green so that Karam and Chin are forced to pit under green.
Yeah, just to go off your talk there with tires, James Krahula was a half a second faster than Sage Karam that last lap, so you can see the difference in how those tires are wearing for you.
Yeah, it's massive difference, especially at these speeds. It's interesting. Oh, as Karam comes in, Karam's come in now. And look at the other cars. They've just followed him straight in. As Karam gets a little bit of a lock-up, that won't matter. He's getting rid of these tyres anyway, but hopefully got it down and onto the speed pit limiter as he comes down into pit lane to get some new boots and a tank full of fuel.
Listening to the broadcast, I think he knew that he was giving up too much time.
Yeah, it was starting to get to that... he reaches a cliff, and then he just it's not going to get better. So that's going to put our rookie back up front, Nathan Lewis. And, he's got to be coming in soon because it's been 33 laps since he pitted last too.
And eventually this is going to cycle right around to Adrian Fernandez leading this thing. He is the leader. If I'm looking at my timing and scoring right, of all the guys who made that last stop.
Yeah, it should be Blocker, actually. Blocker, Kinsella, they're right in front of him. Fernandez is about half the straightaway behind.
You are right. And that's the order that we saw before.
Look who Fernandez is tucking in behind. Look at this. He's just spotted Sage Karam, and he must have thought when he saw him come out of pit lane, he must have thought, oh, fantastic. I'll just hook my trailer right into the back of your car here, because this is the dream scenario now for Fernandez. Now Fernandez he's been on these tires for 11 laps as he goes to go round the outside. Oh, dearie me. And yeah, so for Fernandez, he's got another 20 laps of this stint potentially, and he can spend it behind arguably the driver of the race so far, Sage Karam.
Surprised the run that Fernandez had on Karam, assuming Karam's got those new tires. Maybe they weren't up to temp yet, but come on, they had to be at this temperature track. Fernandez doing a good job of staying with Karam, who's on much fresher tires.
Yeah, but 10 laps fresher tires for him. But of course, he'll be getting a huge draft benefit on these long straights here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So even if he's just losing a little bit in the corners, he can make it back up again on the draft. As Richie said earlier, 2 seconds. That is definitely not 2 seconds between Karam and Fernandez. Of course, just 0.6 of a second right now. So Fernandez is in a good spot here.
Right. Well, Fernandez is basically racing Blocker and Kinsella right now, but they don't have the advantage of being right behind Karam. So if Fernandez can stay on the tail of Karam, he might be able to bring him up to the guys he's racing.
Yeah, right now, Sage Karam is running a little bit quicker than Adrian. Adrian needs to stay within that 2.5 bracket to keep onto that draft. And you're right. What he could do is you just stick with them. And I would probably pit with Sage if you can. Obviously, he's on a different strategy. He's on the Adam Blocker Kinsella strategy, but he's in a really good position because he has quite a gap too. He has 2.5 back to Jason Galvin. So he's kind of sitting there alone in 4th spot.
Big thank you to John Ambrose, who's just made us aware that Chin took a slightly longer stop, about 2 seconds longer than Karam on that pit lane. That could be crucial, guys, because he was already losing a bit of time to Karam, and to lose 2 seconds in pit lane, that's time that you got to work really hard to get back on the track.
We got a battle on the track. Let's go to 6th position. This is Nathan Lewis, but these battles are so hard to tell if they're really battles or if they're full battles because you got to keep track of what pit strategy they're on. Lewis and Galvin were going at it. Lewis has made the pass and now is driving away right behind Chin. Galvin is on much older tires, so that's why they ran her down. Chin and Lewis, though, Nathan doing a great job hanging on the back of Chin here.
Yeah, dream scenario for the 22 of Nathan Lewis being one of the fastest drivers on the field. Joshua Chin is the goodness me, it does makes you really hold your breath there going into turn 1, and of course these short shoots in between turn 1 and turn 2 is just almost non-existent there as well. But Nathan Lewis, the 22, our rookie, in a kind of almost Tequila Patron to keep the alcohol theme going. Tequila Patron like livery there on his Dallara, looking very strong.
Up front, Andrew Kinsella and Adam Blocker are playing leapfrog. They're trying to really gap. I was looking at the lap times. Sage was catching them, and then all of a sudden they just stepped it back up. Andrew Kinsella down to a 40.7, and Sage Karam's last lap was a 40.7, almost the exact same lap. So keeping that basically almost 5-second gap to Sage is important as we get closer to the end, because if they can keep kind of changing pit stops, it'll keep them from jumping up and using the draft to get by them.
I'd like to talk about 3 drivers that we haven't talked much about. Let's go to car 55. This is Brian Yazik. Now, the guy we've been watching is a Junior Kinkapati. I told you about the climb through the field from him, started 37th and 15th. Then back behind is fans of longtime Lionheart fans will be yelling for Jake Wright back there in 16th position. This is a battle up here between Yazik, Kinkapati, Wright. Also in the mix is Chris Lanini. The real one, though, is Kinkapati working on the back of Yazik.
Yeah, Chris Lanini was on that Fernandez strategy earlier on. So something happened where he kind of got off of it or had a problem. He's fallen back out of that group. But Justin Weaver hanging in there. Samuel Ryman started 30th up to 19th. He's doing a good job. Mark Cohn's last car in the lead lap in 21st position. George Anzaldo, unfortunately, never got that lap back. Early on, he had an opportunity and just didn't work out for him. But right now, we're just kind of in cruise mode with everybody as Kinsella and Blocker are still holding on to that 5-second gap. Then you got Karam, and Fernandez has dropped off from Karam, so he's losing that draft. And here comes Nathan Lewis. He's starting to creep up behind Adrian Fernandez. And they're bringing Josh Chin, who had something wrong in his pit stop. He fell back, but he's starting to make his way back up, our pole sitter.
Yeah, Fernandez on those slightly... Sorry, Sue, go ahead.
Well, no, we're going to talk about Fernandez. You mentioned on those older tires. Wasn't able to hang on, as Richie said, onto the back of Karam. Here comes Lewis, though. Remember, Lewis has made work of Chin. He's left Chin behind. Nathan Lewis has got this thing wired right now.
Although if you look at the lap times between basically Fernandez, Karam, and Blocker and Kinsella, they all ran 40.7 that last lap. So I think they just needed that little buffer there so their car would work a little bit better.
You're going to see a lot of drivers moving around, making a lot of big moves here, because you've got Kinsella, Blocker, Fernandez, Galvin, and Krahula. They're all on, around 20 laps or so stints, and then you've got Karam, Lewis, and Chin, they're all only 10 laps on the tyres. And it seems to me, I don't know what you guys see, but it seems to me that the first 10, possibly 15 at the most, the tyres are pretty steady, and then they drop off quite dramatically after that point.
But this battle that we're looking at right here, this is interesting because you have Lewis, who I think has visions of maybe winning this thing if he can get up to Sage Karam. But right now, he's been pinned behind Fernandez. I think he's faster than Fernandez, but he's in that situation where it's like milking a rooster. The hard part starts as soon as you catch it. And that's where Lewis is sitting right now.
Yeah, he was about a half a second faster than Fernandez earlier on. Now that he's got up to basically within the drafting gap, and now he's losing the front of the car. He just can't quite get any closer, and he's kind of stuck there.
If he could get around him, maybe he'd make a shot at Karam, but this is good news for Karam, who's basically winning his race. The race between him and Lewis and Chin. Then you have the race between Kinsella, Blocker, and Fernandez.
Tell you what, guys, if we get a caution in the next 5 or 10 laps or so, it might put everybody all the leading drivers on the same strategy, because you've got the guys, Sage Karam 12 laps into his stint, Chin 12 laps into his stint, so you got to think that if there's a caution in the next 5 laps or so, they're going to dive in, and that's going to be good news for Kinsella, Blocker, and Fernandez, because they'll be at the end of their fuel at that point. So they'll be, if you're Fernandez, you've got to be in Blocker, you've got to be thinking that you've got to be hoping for a caution right now.
So let's say our target lap is 140, because that would be 60 to go. That means one stop splits it up, a 30-lap stint both ways. These guys have 8 more laps to get there. Kinsella and Blocker are working lap 24. They're in the ball game.
And of course, that's with green running, and you got to think that in the closing stages, as people get a little bit more racy, or if we have 2 cautions, perhaps. I know we're if buts and maybes, but if you have 2 cautions, and the first caution puts everybody all back together, and then of course that then means that you've got everybody bunched together, and then as it gets towards the end of the race, the prize becomes in sight.
Yeah, and Josh Chin just had a problem. He brushed the wall coming out of 1, bent his front wing. So he had to come into the pits. He's going to be able to get that wing fixed, but he's going to be off cycle. He was on the same cycle as Karam. He was on the same cycle as Karam and Nathan Lewis, but now he's going to be on his own. He's actually he's out of the car. He is not getting back in the car.
His Delara looking pretty second-hand in pit lane right now.
Right there. No, I think it was in turns 1.
Going into 1, yeah.
He gets really close. You can look at the understeer he's got. Look how much steering he's got put into that car.
Stay on
exit of 4 there. Exit of 4 just rubs the wall.
I think it's the first part. I think the big one comes up here.
It's right here. He hits the wall right here. Watch his steering. Look how much he steers the wall. Turn, boom. And he's done enough damage that he is out of the car. So our pole sitter is out of the race.
That's a pity for Joshua Chin. He was running so strongly and matching Sage Karam blow for blow all race long. That is a real pity. I think he got a little rub on the wall and coming out of 4, and then that just gave him no chance in turn 1, it seemed.
Yeah, and you know what that's going to do? That second race in a row, he's going to have a bad finish for the Rookie of the Year standing. That's going to be good for Nathan Lewis for sure. And even Adam Frazier's going to gain some points, but Nathan Lewis is looking real good in 5th. So that's going to mix that championship up a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to see some serious rookies really getting up there with the experienced guys. And of course, we do have one other series rookie. Hard to call Adrian Fernandez, the 57-year-old, a rookie, but he is to the Lionheart series. And of course, he's a man with such an amazing CV, and particularly in sports car racing. Adrian Fernandez winning this 12 Hours of Sebring, a really difficult race to win, and of course had the pleasure of driving the V12 Aston Martin LMP1 car, the lucky boy.
Well, right. Richie Fernandez is, if you look back at the guys he's racing that might be, Krahula's like 6 seconds back, Harrington is like 8 or 9 seconds. Even though he might need to take on a full load of fuel, I don't know if it's a difference of 8 or 9 seconds to do that, right?
No, it's difference of a couple of seconds. But we basically have two groups here. We have the Sage Karam and Nathan Lewis group, and then we have the Kinsella, Blocker, Fernandez, Galvin, and Krahula group as far as pit stop strategy goes. So as we get closer to the end, we're going to see which one works out best.
Or even Blocker and Kinsella are 4 seconds up on Karam. So assuming they each have the same amount of pit stops to make, Kinsella's and Blockers are going to be longer because they need to take more fuel than Karam will, but not 4 seconds worth. So I think Kinsella and Blocker are in pretty good position here.
No, not 4 seconds. I don't think that's where it's going to play out. Where it will play out, though, is if Kinsella and Blocker pit, and then it gives Sage Karam basically 10 laps of hoping for
Well,
a
here
yellow.
they come. Kinsella comes in.
This is
Fernandez
critical.
is
That's
coming
Kinsella.
in.
Sorry, my apologies. Kinsella coming in after 28 laps, so that's a shorter stint. Fernandez making it go 29 laps there. We have seen longer than that. This would be interesting. Sage Karam now, he's only had 19 laps, so he's got a potentially another 10 laps where he can put the pedal to the metal here as these guys have to pit under green.
But 28 laps doesn't get you to the end on one more stop. You got to get to lap 140 and then run a 30-lap stint. So Kinsella might be in trouble fuel-wise. Here comes Blocker right now, pitting on lap 139.
Yeah, well, Kinsella and Fernandez are banking on another yellow flag coming out because they're going to need it. But really, it's about lap time. You know, you're going to see that cliff, and you're going to start losing track position. And maybe Kinsella and Blocker. Kinsella was out in the lead a lot longer, so he might have burned just a little bit more fuel. But Sage and Nathan Lewis, they're on their own program. They're staying out there, but they could go easy, like you said, about another 10 laps.
But they won't go a lap down because they were well out in front of Karam. So they should be able to come in, get their fuel, get their tires, and get out on the same lap. Fernandez might have a hard time doing that.
It's GSRC's own Samuel Ryman pits from 17th. He's had a really good run today in that number 63 car, and of course rocking the orange and black paint scheme because of his love of figures.
Fast stop for Sam Ryman. So Adrian Fernandez comes out the last car on the lead lap. He was able to get in and out ahead of Karam, barely. In fact, can we go to Fernandez right now and look at the gap? I imagine, Peter, that Fernandez should be able to run away, I think, with fresh rubber, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's right there. He's in the same position that Krahula was in earlier. He had Sage, he had the leader right behind him, and he had to held off, but he should be able to pull away. Sage is running 40.8s. He's running pretty consistent, but Adrian Fernandez should be able to drop down in the low 40s once he gets up to speed.
Yeah, Fernandez is definitely going to have a massive advantage through the turns and then getting a good run. And at the moment, Sage Karam will be getting a tiny bit of benefit off the draft, but yeah, you're right. He's going to be driving away here. However, Fernandez has got to be careful that he doesn't get too played about by Karam here, because if he's thinking, I've got to push to break the toe and break away from Karam, that he could pay for that 20 laps from now.
Let's look at car number 44. This is a man who has won the last two series races. Connor Harrington, looking to go 3 in a row, only done by Adam Blocker. He's sitting in third right now. Yeah, he's 10 seconds behind Karam, but a yellow flag will get everybody back together. And this guy certainly knows how to win. Can't forget about him.
We've hardly mentioned him on the broadcast, and he's been driving a superb, nice, clean race. Just to also note on Fernandez there, did you see him weaving around on the back straight there, desperately trying to break the toe of Sage Karam? So he obviously knows exactly who it is behind them. And yep, that is Karam's close enough to get a bit of draft benefit still.
Yeah, he is, and like I said, I thought Adrian would be able to drop down in the low 40s. He's only running 40.8 on new tires, and Sage Karam is running 40.8 on used tires. So he's able to hang in there, and this might catch Adrian Fernandez out. We'll see what happens.
It was funny, just a few minutes ago, it was Fernandez trying to hang on to the back of Karam to see if Karam could get him up to Blocker and Kinsella. pit stops are done, and now it's Fernandez ahead of Karam, and Karam is trying to get around Fernandez. The racing gods are very, very devious.
Yes, of course. As a driver, Richie, how much are you thinking about the strategy in your head, or do you get the team to kind of lead you on that, or are you always kind of half thinking about driving the car and half thinking about the strategy?
In real life?
Life, yeah.
Yeah.
In real life, I could care less what the strategy is. I just tell me what to do. If you want me to pit, I might give my input as far as, like what the car's feeling like, but I'm not calculating numbers. I'd crash.
I love the honesty. If you ask a Formula One driver that, they go, "Oh well,
Well, that's what happens to me on the sim. I don't have a crew, and I got to calculate numbers, and I end up crashing sometimes.
Let's look at cars.
That's a new excuse. I'm gonna write that one down, Richie. I'm gonna use that one.
Let's go to 55, Brian Yazik. This is a battle for 8th position. We've been keeping an eye on it. The rookie Ajuna, yes, he can Capatti right behind him, and that's how it's been. Man, passing is really hard out here. Remember I told you that Jake Wright was watching him? It seems like a long time ago. Well, right now, Jake Wright is still watching him.
Yeah, the passing's been tough out there. The track temp has gone up, not down, and that's only made it harder for these guys. There you go. Well, it's about 115. It was 117 earlier, but now it's started at 114. So it's been a tough run. It's been kind of played into more of a strategy game instead of what I said earlier, that it'd be a pack race. So it has both its pluses and minuses. Connor Harrington has now moved himself up into second place with these pit stops starting to happen. We've got a whole group of guys that are going to be coming in soon, and that should move our regular leaders back up.
Nathan Lewis peels off.
Of course, it all came down to that early caution. I think it was lap 5 or lap 6 when we had that caution. And of course, guys like Fernandez and stuff, they took the chance to go into pit lane really early then. And Karam, etc., did not. And here we are, 142 laps later, and that is still having an effect on this race.
I'd like to pick up Adam Blocker, car number 1 right now. He's stuck behind Chris Lanini, but this will be interesting to see if Blocker can get off ahead of Nathan Lewis. They come across the line. Is Lewis rolling? Yes, he is. He's out there. No, that's Scotty Johnson. Where are you, Nathan?
All right. Sage is in. Sage is pitting right now. Connor Harrington's going to stay out and assume the lead. Sage decided he's had enough.
Yep. 28 laps for Aaron there on his start now. Let's see him coming into pit lane. We're going to go on board with Sage Karam. He's getting, goodness me, he's leaving that late.
Ooh, that was close.
Woo! That's using every last bit on the brakes. This will be interesting to see if he broke the speed limit coming into pit lane there. He left it to the very
Michael
last
Goodman
moment.
is in the wall. This is big. As we look at the replay.
Oh, and that brings out the caution as Sage Karam is in the pit lane.
Turn 1. Michael Goodman coming in here. Let's have a look to see what happens there. Does he catch the inside line? No, he just runs wide, gets tight, and oof, dearie me.
This is this, and then there's more.
That's huge.
And it looked like
and who was that? Who took it? Was that Fernandez? It looked a little bit like Fernandez. I could be wrong. It went past so quickly, but that
Brian Beard, I believe, got him going by.
Okay. Oh dear.
Beard is number 5. We'll get a look at this one. Nice onboard camera. There he is. Nice shot. Got to give him a little extra boost. Boy, he looks good. He might have net-coded himself through that one. Ever seen the movie Le Mans? This crash here from Goodman looked like that as he bangs it off the outside, then the inside, then the outside. Woo!
Hey, that's the one time netcode is good.
Yeah.
You can't keep
that
up.
Was more like good. That was more like the Ricky Bobby crash in Talladega Nights, actually, when he's like, I'm flying through the air, it's not good.
Well, this is interesting because Connor Harrington free pit stop here. Sage Karam got lucky. He came out, and it's going to put him right behind Blocker, Kinsella. It's going to close this whole thing. Fernandez is going to close back up. So we'll see these guys basically pit and where it all shakes out.
The question is, will Blocker and Kinsella pit? They got about 10 laps. So all these guys in front of them will have to pit.
I think they would be important.
It looks like they're thinking about it. Nope, they changed their mind.
They stay out.
And Stage was seeing what they were going to do. Clustanini's in, Weaver's in. Obviously, Connor Harrington's in. So these guys are going to stay out. I mean, you still have to make one more stop, right?
Indeed. Everybody will need to make one more stop, but Blocker and Kinsella will be on 10-lap older tires, but they'll be out in front.
Yeah, and the thing is, cautions breed cautions. Where the field all bunched together, 50 laps to go, it's when the drivers are going to get a lot more aggressive to try and push their way to the front. And I think this gamble could work out really, really well for Kinsella and Blocker if there's another caution, because then they'll be able to come in and get and maybe make it to the end on one more stop.
What we'll do is we'll take our final break here on the Global Sim Racing channel, then we'll come back and we'll go all the way to the end when the checkers fly. You're watching us on the iRacing Esports Network. Back in a few. What are you watching? The HyperX Indianapolis 500. Where are you watching it? On the Global Sim Racing channel, streaming your way on the iRacing Esports Network. We are working lap 151. It'll be 152 when they go to the green. The lovely Indianapolis owned Jane Pauley behind the wheel of the pace car. She's going to bring it in this time and turn over control of this race to Adam Blocker. Adam Blocker and Andrew Kinsella sit 1 and 2. They've been out there for 10 laps longer on their tires. The freshest rubber out there belongs to Sage Karam, who sits in third. Everybody is on the same strategy as Karam, except for the front two. Let's go racing. There goes Adam Blocker, and he's going to be leading the Stampede down into the first corner.
You've got to watch Karam here on these fresh tyres. He's got 10 laps advantage on these two drivers in front. So watch Karam, see what he's going to do. He's very, very close in the draft here as he makes a move up to the inside line. He's got to run. I think Karam's got this, guys.
Kinsella moved to the middle, tried to stop it, Richie, but it was no way.
Yeah, I think Karam's decided it's time to go. Remember, I said the race starts with 50 to go. Here we are, 48. He's going to go ahead and take the lead. See if he can just kind of pull away from these guys. He has stacked up behind him Blocker, Kinsella, Lewis, Galvin. They're all coming up and ganging up on him. Here comes Andrew Kinsella, to go to the inside. And we got a race here.
Watch what the 22 of Nathan Lewis can do. We've been watching him all race, and now he's got good rubber on him. He's behind Karam right now, but he loses momentum on the inside. That allows Blocker to roll by, as does Connor Harrington. Pass for the lead.
Again.
The more these guys race up front like that, the more guys are going to group up, and it's going to be a bigger pack. But we have seen those tires drop off after about 10 laps. So this is their time to make their moves if they can, because otherwise they start falling back.
Brian Beard races in 6th. He qualified in 3rd, so we know he's fast, Peter.
Yeah, saying if you're Kinsella or Blocker, you've got to try and slow Sage Karam down here now, because if he gets away free with these fresh tires on, he could that could really be crucial in this race. So I think for Kinsella and Blocker, they've got to be pretty aggressive here and try and keep Sage Karam at bay, just to maybe upset his rhythm a little bit, get him frustrated, because if you're Karam, you've got to know that you got pace in that car, but Kinsella is not letting him use it right now, which is just what he needs to do.
Now I put Karam and Nathan Lewis kind of in the driver's seat here, and Connor Harrington, Brian Beard, Andrew Kinsella, and Adam Block are a little bit of a disadvantage, because even though everybody has to make another stop, these guys are going to have to stop earlier and take a full load of fuel, where those other guys can go maybe split it in half and take less fuel and spend less time on pit road.
Boy, Lewis in 4th is really trying to get around Blocker. He can feel Karam racing away. Again, this is that same situation where you're behind a car that's slower. If I could just get around you, Blocker, I could maybe get up to the front. Blocker on those older tires. Connor Harrington in the same position of Nathan Lewis right now. Blocker, on the other hand, does want to lose touch with his teammate Andrew Kinsella, who's doing all he can to stay on the back of Karam. Look at Karam take the defensive line down. Here comes Kinsella going to the outside. I think he might have put it in the wall.
He's trying to do a Richie Hearn there around turn 1 on old tires. That is really, really brave there, and Karam braking, really having to tighten it up there. But I tell you what, Sage Karam waving about on the straight, that just shows you just how desperate he is to not let Kinsella upset him. But that is exactly what Kinsella is doing. Fantastic stuff from the number 41.
I am almost positive. Yeah, I'm
you guys went side by side all the way around.
Yeah. Now he's going to try it on the inside. Last time Kinsella was on the outside, and he did graze it off the wall going into 1. Kinsella gets the job done this time. We be racing for real.
Andrew Kinsella is our defending winner from last year, correct?
It is correct. That is right. He's looking to drink the milk twice in a row. Here comes the run. Boy, look at how easy the runs are from Karam, though. How easy he gets around him, and how hard Kinsella has to work to get around Karam.
Well, that's between 9-lap tires and 19-lap tires. So right now, Kinsella's kind of getting to the point where he's going to start struggling a little bit. Nathan Lewis did get in front of Adam Blocker briefly, but here comes Adam Blocker. Ooh, Adam's just going to sit there behind him. He's going to back up a little bit, right up to Connor Harrington. And then Brian Beard are stacking up. But here comes Stefan Larkamp, Con Capati, Adrian Franda starting to make his way back to the front. We've got quite a group.
We've been watching Con Capati. He's been moving his way up. Car number 78. He sits in 8th position now.
This is Karam's chance. He's just got that ever so slight gap now. It's 0.6 of a second. There is still a draft there, but not as much. So he's got to put in some qualifying laps now. 2/10 of a second quicker than Kinsella on that last lap, but he's really got to make these couple of laps count and try to break that toe. But Kinsella doing an amazing job hanging on. Remember, Kinsella's been on those tyres for 21 laps. Some of those under caution, but only about 4 or 5 laps under caution. Karam, however, those tyres.
Here we go. Lost you there for a minute. Good running going on from these guys. Kinsella again going really wide.
So here's Kinsella still right in behind. Kinsella right in behind Sage Karam. I think actually Kinsella is getting a little bit of a toe now from Karam. He's not going to overtake him, of course, but for Kinsella, he's probably putting in faster laps than he would have done in clean air because, of course, he's getting a big draft benefit going down the straight. It's not enough to get past Karam, but good enough to get a little bit of a boost in his lap times.
Able to run.
Go ahead, Richie.
I was saying he's running about the same lap times as Sage, 40.7s, and he's getting that toe. You can see him close up and then go back. So the draft is definitely helping him out. Meanwhile, Nathan Lewis is not able to do the same thing. He's starting to drop off. He's running 41 zeros.
I think maybe the happy has worn off the tires now of Karam as he's been out there for 14 laps. They kind of balance out the difference between new tires and 10-lap-old tires that are much different than 14 and 24-lap-old tires.
Yeah, actually, we haven't really seen it get really bad. It seems like they get to about where they're at now, that 40.7, 40.8 last pit stop, or round of pit stops. I was watching Karam's lap times, and he was running 40.8s right till the end, but it's that first 10 laps that you can get that gap, and then it just sorts itself out.
Kinsella, he's had 8 wins so far in the Lionheart IndyCar series, of course, winning the Indy 500 in this series last year. Can he make it 9? Of course, he's actually a Londoner based in Canada and born in 1990, a grand old vintage if you're into your old red wines.
So here's the deal. Remember that it was Kinsella, Blocker, and Adrian Fernandez that were all kind of on the same strategy. You don't see Fernandez up there because he came in for a pit stop. He may be the wisest of all. We're working here with 37 laps to go. I figure you got to get to at least lap 30. That's 7 more laps that Kinsella has to put in. He's already on a stint of 26, which means he's got to go 33. I don't know if Kinsella and Blocker can do this on one more stop.
Yeah, I think they can. They had about 4 or 5 laps of yellow. And so those guys are pretty good with saving their fuel. So I'm sure they're watching that. But, I mean, they're going to have to. If they have to stop twice, it's over for them. So they got to do everything they can to make it to that point.
Well, Peter saw Blocker go to 32 on a stint one time, and that was a green flag stint. So if he can just put in another 5 laps, I think he's good to go.
Yeah, and also you got to think that Blocker's got all the pace of these guys, this top 4 group, but Blocker's been the one that's been quiet. It's been Kinsella that had to be the kind of front gunner and try and upset Sage Karam's rhythm, and that's bound to have an effect on Kinsella. He's maybe going to be paying for that soon. Whereas Blocker, he was sitting in his blue number 1 car. He's probably sitting up watching that all ahead of him and going, "Oh, thanks for that, Mr. Kinsella. That's you do all the hard work, and I'll just sit here and go easy with my tires and go easy with my fuel." And that really could play a part as we head to this critical part of the race now.
And how long you can go before you have to make your stint. You can tell the difference of the racing now that just 10 laps after the yellow flag, how it's impossible to pass. So basically, when you make your pit stop is when you've got to make all your hay. Because if you're out there on old tires, you're pretty much in the spot you're going to stay in.
Yeah, pretty much. We've seen already. You can see how it is right now. We had some racing, and now they all separate out by about the same amount of time, about 0.7 to a second from each other, and you can't do anything about it. So this is where like those pit stops, early on, maybe pitting in a little earlier or opening up that window. Sage Karam, however they did it, him and Nathan Lewis kind of now they have options, whereas Kinsella and Blocker have no options. Basically, they have to go to lap 170 roughly, and that's all they got.
Kinsella brought 0.2 of a second back on Karam on that last lap on 29 lap old tires. That is absolutely extraordinary from Andrew Kinsella. I tell you what, Andrew Kinsella showing all the pace. I really hope he's not over pushing right now, but impressive nonetheless, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a quick lap time for how many laps he's got on those tires. But it's kind of what we saw earlier. Like I said, they don't really fall off too bad. They kind of reach a level, and then they just stay right there. So Andrew, whatever he found out as far as his tools in the car to help out with that is working for him right now. He's obviously feeling pretty good about his fuel because he's pushing as hard as he can.
I want to take you back to car number 92. This is 12th position. This is Lanini and Krahula and Weaver now. It's not really a battle. It's just they're playing follow the leader closer than anyone else are right now.
We're also now at the point where 32 laps to go. We're now at the point where you do not be surprised if you see some drivers come in and roll the dice now and fill up to the end and get the tyres on and then try and go from there. We see one car, I think those are the cars getting repairs right now, but yeah, we're really coming into the point where one more stop to go.
Yeah, we're coming up to 173 laps to go. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see like Andrew and Blocker starting to think about coming in. They got to be close on their fuel because he's working lap 31. A couple laps here for yellows. He's going to go around again. He's hoping for a yellow maybe to bring everybody on the same page.
Of course, I hope he's not going to do a Krahula and cough his way into pit lane and lose some vital time. I think you've got to know your fuel number absolutely spot on, but it's not worth the risk really at this stage to potentially run out.
And they're in the position when they come into pit, they will go a lap down because they're behind the leader.
All right, here comes Kinsella. He's coming in. Blocker, of course, is going to go around again one more time. But Kinsella is going to start everything off here.
That number 41 machine spattered with flies after this long day here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but a brilliant stint there. I think for me, guys, that's been the stint of the day so far from Kinsella. He was able to hang on and pressure stage Karam, and no doubt he would have raised the temperature in the cockpit of Karam's car. He must have been getting pretty frustrated there with the way that Kinsella was able to hassle him.
Okay, Kinsella coming out.
Yeah, Karam's just coming across the start-finish line right now. So he's going to be able to stay in front just.
A yellow flag right now would not be the worst thing to happen to Kinsella.
No, because Sage has got to pit.
Right, he would cycle all the way around and everyone else would have to pit and Kinsella would find himself up front. Able to stay on the lead lap was Andrew Kinsella.
Yeah, he's
Walker's
clear.
still out there.
He's made it clear. Karam looks like he's about a turn and a half to 2 turns back. So, yep, Kinsella's got out clean, and he is good to the end of the race. So this is going to be fascinating to see how it shuffles out.
Nathan Lewis is pitted. So he was on the same strategy as Sage, and he decided to come in and go from 30 laps on. I don't know. I would have stayed out there and taken the short fill and just gained the time on the watch. So that's interesting that he did that.
Well, he might, figuring that he might not have, and Blocker has come in, he might not be able to get around Karam on equal footing. Maybe come in now and be a little faster than Karam, do the undercut.
I don't think he's going to be that much faster.
Right.
It was probably, I don't know. He's probably hoping to just try something, or he just playing it safe.
Let's go ahead and look at Kinsella as they were looking at right now. That's Kinsella and Lewis. Blocker is just rolling. They're going to team up with him in just a minute. Oh, there they go. That's Blocker in the exit lane. They blow by him.
Well, that maybe gives you an idea of the undercut effect, because Kinsella and Blocker were pretty similar on lap time, and that gap has definitely got bigger if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
now watch
by a lot.
Now watch the interval between Karam and, well, who it is right now would be Lewis. See if it's going down or going up.
Well, Sage just ran a 40.7 that last lap. We'll see what those guys, it's going to take them a lap or two to get it up to speed, but they're kind of hooked up together. So if they're smart, they can play it, leapfrog each other to maybe close that gap up.
I just apologise, guys, that it's not the undercut effect between Kinsella and Blocker. Blocker was 1.1 seconds slower in the lane, so even after Kinsella doing all that hard work, Blocker was longer in the lane. That might have been the time coming in, perhaps, but it could be on fuel as well. So maybe Kinsella is really taking a risk here and hoping for a caution and is short filled, maybe.
Yeah, well, Nathan Lewis didn't need as much to fill up, so he's going to gain that time in the pit lane or in the box.
Brian Carey sitting in 6th position ahead of Jake Wright. It's about as close as a battle as you're going to find right now, as nobody's able to make a pass. The real battle, the real race is between Sage Karam in 1st and Andrew Kinsella, or Nathan Lewis, depending on who's in front, back in 13th position.
All right.
This is the waltz going on.
Sage is coming in. Sage is in, and he just ran at 40.4 that last lap.
I tell you what, guys, I tell you, Beard, Larkamp, and Kankapati aren't out with of an outside chance for the win here. You know, they've got a few more laps left on these stints, so it'll be interesting to see how they filter out through the end of the race. It could be that if we have one more caution, then with 23 laps to go, it just could be one big dogfight as we come into the closing stages of the race.
Kinsella out of 4 right now, ahead of Lewis. Sage Karam is going to be rolling. He is rolling. He's on the exit lane.
Yeah, but you can see down in our pit comparison down there on the bottom of the screen, having to take less fuel, he's gained basically a full second on these guys just on the track. And here he comes, and they are just coming out of 4, or out of 2, sorry. So he's going to have a couple of seconds on these guys, 3 seconds.
About
like
2,
that.
Now down to 1.7, is shrinking a little bit as Karam gets it up. Karam racing in 12th. Lewis in 13th, Kinsella in 14th.
And also Sage Karam here has 6 laps tyre advantage. So his tyres are 6 laps newer than Kinsella behind him. So that is vital. So not only is Karam ahead with track position, he also has newer tyres. So that is advantage Karam now.
Now your overall leader is Brian Beard. He's going to probably be 4th once everything cycles out.
Of course, it was Beard that ghosted his way through that huge Goodman accident. So that was nearly his race over. But netcode giveth and netcode taketh away.
They're all starting to come in. Ken Campati coming in. Brian Carey coming in. Now, again, a yellow flag would be okay for Brian Beard right now. Yeah, he would lose a lot of spots, but when they all come in, he'd have to come in and pit. But he'd be on fresher rubber than anybody else. Really, Richie, the longer you can race, you get to the point, the longer you can go, and then hope that a yellow flag comes out so you can make up all the track distance, and then you have fresher rubber. But I don't know if it's going to matter much. Everybody's going to be coming in here.
Well, right now, I mean, Brian Beard is running 40.3s. He's running way faster than anybody else. I mean, Sage Karam is only running 40.8s. And Brian's going to come in, and he doesn't need much fuel to make it to the end. And, if he can gain 2 seconds in the pit box, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, that's, a couple hundred yards on the track. That's going to make up spots on its own.
Carey gets around him. Ajuna Kinkapati gets around Brian Beard. Fresh rubber for those guys. They get their lap back. Chris Lanini coming on the mic saying, coming in. Justin Weaver talking.
Yeah, if I was Brian Beard, I think I've basically maxed out what I could get, and I'd pit. And here he comes.
Brian Beard, 31 lap stint there. Good job to get that stretch those extra couple of laps. As you say, that could really put him back into the running here, because he's not going to put as much fuel in the tank now.
Going to take you to car.
Go ahead.
Let's go to car number 2, because this is big. This is Karam Remember the gap that he had coming out of pit lane? Well, now Nathan Lewis is right there with him, only back by half a second.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what Brian Beard's pit stop length is. I know Sage's was 8.1 seconds in the box, and Brian Beard is going. Now they're going by, and he wasn't racing for the win, but he's definitely going to gain some position here. This is going to help him out. He's just going to be right behind, basically, Adam Blocker just went by.
Brian Beard taking 34.3 seconds in the lane, just half a second slower than Sage Karam. So not much to separate them there. So let's see how Fernandez gets on.
Fernando pits from the lead. That's going to turn the lead back over to Karam. Karam has got around Justin Weaver, who's now put a lap car between him and his nearest competition of Nathan Lewis. Kinsella try as he might to stay with Karam and Lewis. He cannot. He races in third.
Well, Sage Karam is basically gapped Nathan Lewis out here quite a bit.
My guess would have been that closing from Lewis on Karam might have been lap traffic, because now once Karam has got free of everything, he starts to race away.
Yeah, Nathan Lewis's last lap was not very quick. It was a 41.2, so something happened with the lap traffic that messed him up.
You've got to think that Connor Harrington's got to be the biggest threat now. He's on nice. He's actually on a lap younger tyres than Sage Karam. So you've got to think that Harrington 2.5 seconds back. He's got to really push now to try and get in Karam's draft. That's vital if he wants a chance to win this race. If we're going to run caution free for the next 16 laps to the end.
Yeah, Connor Harrington has jumped both Andrew Kinsella and Adam Blocker. They must have had a problem on lap traffic too, because both their laps were in the mid 41.5 was for Andrew Kinsella.
Yeah. I'm going to take you away to fourth position, Director. Let's go to Kinsella. I think we're going to have a pass. Here comes Blocker looking on the inside. And indeed, Blocker does get the pass made, moves up into fourth position. Kinsella beginning to fade. Blocker pulling away.
Yeah, Blocker needed to get back on pace quickly. He was nearly a second off his ideal pace. So you think you're right, Richie. Had problems with lap traffic on that last lap. But look at this. Kankapati, Carey and Larkamp, they're not too far away either. And even with a caution, they'll just come right back bunching together. But you got to think that Harrington, he's setting a 40.6 right now, fastest guys of anyone around him. He's got to really make that move forward now and get past Lewis and get on the back of Karam quickly.
Remember, Kinsella only went 28 laps on his last stint. He needs to go a full 30 to get to the end. I think he may be saving.
Yeah, I think he is, because he's dropping back. He kind of let Adam go, and he's dropping back, and his last lap was still only a 41.1, so he's well off the pace. So he's either got something wrong with the car, or he is definitely worried about the fuel number at this point.
Right on his board. Look it up. Go ahead.
Sage Karam has got this race in hand at the moment. Unless a yellow comes out, I mean, he's got a healthy 1.6 seconds gap to Nathan, and they're both running about the same lap time. So right now, all Sage has to do is just stay clean and just hope it goes green to the end.
I think if you're Lewis and Harrington, you've got to be smart here. You can see Karam just getting that little bit breaking away. But Lewis and Harrington, if they're clever, and they're okay for fuel, then they've got to work together and try and use that draft to their advantage as best they possibly can. But as you say, Richie, it's going to be a big ask if we run green from here.
Well, Nathan Lewis wasn't able to stay with Karam, and Harrington might be the faster of the two between them.
Because the last time around, Nathan Lewis, the fastest of the three, with a 40.536. Then it's Harrington with a 40.695, and Sage Karam 40.726. So Karam actually the slowest ever so slightly between the top three, but Adam Blocker a 40.375. So Blocker's not done yet either. So as they pile into... Sorry, go ahead, Soup.
Closing in on the end of this race. Karam looks really good. Go ahead, Peter. What were you going to say?
I was thinking you disconnected again. I was filling there. It was 11 laps to go, but yeah, carry on.
Let's drop back to 9th position. Look at these guys. This is car number 62, Stefan Larkamp, James Grahula, and there's Adrian Fernandez. Fernandez was racing up with Kinsella and Blocker until he came in for that pit stop. Got off strategy. Pretty good run here from Fernandez. Let's see if he can get Grahula. Oh, he's going to wait. You can't really get a run there. Let's see if he can get it off of this one. Ooh, car gets a little bit loose. Not sure if he's going to have much here.
Yeah, he's pretty much stuck in this spot. This is about what the group he's going to run with. But he can't get into that top 10. I think he might have taken too much fuel on that last pit stop because it should have been a shorter stop than he took. So he kind of penalized himself there.
We've been jumping you around a lot, but let's stay here for a bit and see if we can watch a little bit of racing. Fernandez was really good out of 3, but that's really not the place you want to be great at. Let's watch it one more time here. See if he can get a good run this time off of 4 and make a run down the front straight.
Tell you what, guys, Harrington is flying. He's 2.5 tenths quicker on the last lap than Karam. We just need to get a quick check on how they filter through here. But the last lap, Lewis nearly 3 tenths of a second faster than Karam. So Nathan Lewis on the charge. I tell you what, guys, this is with 10 to go. Lewis and Harrington are throwing absolutely everything at it. So who knows?
They can see him. I don't know if they can get around him, but yes, they are definitely closing.
Yeah, well, Nathan Lewis is definitely in that draft, that bubble there. He can start sucking up behind him down the straightaway. Just how is he going to handle the corners with his tires? So his tires are 6 laps older, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. But these guys are starting to put the heat on him.
Harrington, he's not got that worry. He's got the youngest tires of them all, just one younger than Karam. But if Harrington can hang on to Lewis and let him do the hard work, it could make a big difference. And of course, the closer they get, as Lewis goes to within 3/4 of a second now, that's the closest he's been on this stint. And you got to think the closer they get, of course, the bigger the draft effect multiplies.
Riding on board with Nathan Lewis. He's got Karam ahead of him, Harrington behind him.
And you see he's definitely using 6th gear, so he's picking up that draft. You're only use that 6th gear once you start picking up the draft a little bit. So here he goes to 6th gear. Not down the front straightaway. He was in 6th gear, so I guess it depends on how the wind's. Oh, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, Karam waving there on the straight, so he's rattled. Karam knows that he's got to start breaking the draft, but the gap goes up ever so slightly there over this lap, so I think Karam might be marginally quicker, but then look at the run he's getting here. This is just gobbling up the gap. Lewis marginally slower over the whole lap, but in that last sector looked like Lewis closed a lot. This is game on with 7 laps to go.
It's Karam, your point leader, looking to get that gap a little bit larger. Nathan Lewis, a rookie, looking to score some big points, especially with Josh Chin having problems.
Yeah, at this point, I think Nathan Lewis and Connor Harrington have kind of lost their momentum. They've kind of reached that point we talked about earlier. They're all running about the same lap time, 40.7, 40.7, 40.7. It seems like they get right to about where they are, and then the tires just even off, and that's all you got.
Yeah, you're spot on, Richie. There's 2 laps in a row. They've almost been absolutely identical across all of the top 3 there. The same thing, all top 40.7 and change. So yeah, Karam really standing up well under pressure here.
If you're hoping for a yellow flag, I think that's a tall ask, because these drivers are all separated. They all know how to race these lines. I would be surprised if we see a yellow.
Never say never at Indy, Soup. We've seen so many crazy finishes here, of course, with the Lionheart himself, Dan Weldon, is second of his 2 Indy 500 wins. Of course, as you said on our broadcast earlier in the week, only led about 400 yards of the race, and that was the last 400 yards of it.
getting down to the point where once we reach a certain threshold as far as laps to go, even if the yellow flag does come out, it'll be over. It's pretty much coming up about now.
Go back to Ken Capatti here, under attack. Hey, we may see a pass. This is Stefan Larkham's got a run. Looking to take over 8th position, and he gets him.
Yeah, good job, Bryce. We haven't talked about him. He started on the front row, and he kind of just didn't have it. You know, he was there at the beginning, and then once we got through those first couple of stops, he kind of faded, and now we're seeing him start to move a little bit to the front, you know, a little late, but he's going to finish in the top 10 here. So we finally got to see a pass at the end.
A little bit fishy on that one. Now maybe Juna Ken Capatti might be saving fuel a little bit because now he's falling into the clutches of Kahula. Meanwhile, Karam comes across the line with 3 to go.
Krahula's going to be close on fuel again, and 3 to go. He should be just about okay, but there'll be not much left in his tank at the end of this race. But I have to say, this is a real champion's drive from Sage Karam, with Lewis very much in his draft, but he's just been so good to not make a mistake under this intense pressure from Lewis and Harrington behind him.
A great run from Adrian Fernandez as well, very new to iRacing. Doesn't look like he's going to make a top 10 as he's right behind Krahula, holding down that last spot. Let's go to Krahula right now because he's got another run. Yeah, something is fishy with Ken Capatti. I think he is saving. There is chances for Fernandez to get there.
Yeah,
look at this
according
one.
to Concapati, he pitted. He only has 19 laps, but he might have made a mistake on how much fuel he put in there. But he's definitely losing spots as James Krahula goes around him, and here comes Fernandez.
We'll check back in that a little bit later. Coming out of corner number 4, going to see the white flag. It is Sage Karam. Got some good news that he's going to get to race for real here in a few days at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course.
It was the first ever
He
double
now
header.
works the final lap.
The first ever double
Working
header
the final lap.
with NASCAR
Indeed.
and IndyCar. Yeah.
Down the backstretch. They say inside each one of us is one pure, authentic race. Something that's yours and yours alone. It can't be taught to you or learned. It has to be remembered. Well, Sage Karam has found that pure, authentic race now with 1 corner to go. He's looking to get the win in the HyperX Indianapolis 500 for the Lionheart IndyCar Racing League. Sage Karam is your winner. Nathan Lewis will take 2nd. Connor Harrington is 3rd. Let's go with Ken Capatti real quick. Here comes Fernandez. Fernandez, they crash. Jake Wright is going to steal 10th position.
Whoa, that's a big old wreck there, and Kankapati's and there was another bit there as well. But what can you say about Sage Karam? Does the double, both the Lionheart Retro Series 250 here at Indianapolis on the oval, and then matches it up with the Indy 500. When best of luck to him when he hits the road course in the real world next weekend. But a real champion's drive today. But you've got to take your hat off to series rookie Nathan Lewis. A fantastic, chased him all the way to the flag, and you never know, 5 more laps could have been very different.
Indeed, we will take a look at that incident there from the very end between Ken Capatti and Fernandez when we come back. We're going to take a short break. Don't go far. We'll be back to look at that incident, run down the entire order, talk to some of the drivers, and put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. This is GSRC on IESN. Welcome back to the HyperX Indianapolis 500 and the similarly named HyperX post-race show. You know, Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX. When you're trying to claw your way to the top of the podium, it pays to have the ultra-comfortable, high-quality headsets that give you that audio information you need to grab the checkered flag. From high-performance drams and SSDs, outstanding microphones, accurate mice, responsive keyboards, to their legendary cloud line of gaming headsets, HyperX makes the gaming gear you need to succeed. Casual or pro, no matter your creed, color, or culture, we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Go to Lionheart HRT15 at hyperxgaming.com. We're going to look at that incident between Kincapati and Fernandez here at the very end. That's Kincapati up front. Peter, we saw this, maybe a little bit of a wiggle from Kincapati, but Fernandez gets behind him and just can't decide which way to go.
Yeah, I mean, Kincapati was definitely. You can't really blame Arjuna for that, to be honest. It's, I think maybe. It's hard to say. I don't want to. You don't want to be. Go on, Richie. You call
I was going to say either Kincapati ran out of gas or Adrian just misjudged the nose of the car and it just kind of clipped the back and sent them both crashing. I think I've done that before. You know, that how far that nose sticks up, and he kind of clipped the back of the car and spin the guy out, and that's kind of what it looks like. Just a kind of an honest mistake.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the finish order. These standings are brought to you thanks to Turn Racing, merging the gap between real and sim racing. Use promo code Lionheart10 to get some 10% off your order at turnracing.com. Here we go. We got Connor Harrington, who finished third, but of course it was Sage Karam and Nathan Lewis that got the first two podium spots. Adam Blocker will finish fourth ahead of his teammate Andrew Kinsella. The back half of your top 10, Brian Beard, Brian Carey, Stefan Larkamp, quiet race from him, James Grahula, and then because of the incident between Kincapati and Fernandez, Jake Wright will vulture that final top 10 spot. Richie?
Yeah, it's coming in 11th, being Jason Galvin. Chris Lanini was running up front earlier, comes to 12th, Brian Yazik. It's kind of a decent day, no drama, come home 13th, Mark Cohn 14th. Samuel Ryman stays on the lead lap, comes home 15th, started 30th, so nice job. Scotty Johnson started dead last, didn't even put a time in, comes home 16th, last car on the lead lap. And unfortunately, the incident we just showed, Arjuna Kincapati will finish 17th, Adrian Fernandez, great run earlier on, 18th, Justin Weaver 19th, and George Ansaldo will finish in 20th.
21st will be the number 17 of Adam Frazier. 22nd, the number 99 of Michael Goodman had a really good run early, but unfortunately had a big crash at turn 1. 23rd, likewise, number 93 Joshua Chin, another race contender, 69 laps back. 24th place was number 38 of Brian Greenlee. 25th was the 26th of Tyler Graff. 26th, number 9, the Dustin Wardlow, the Candyman, who came in to speak to us very kindly. 27th was Ken Hacker. 28th, Darren Gangi. 29th, Jay Brandt, and 30th, Joe Branch.
These guys all had trouble from here on out. Tony Schowen, Scott Holmes, Ron Hacker, Damon Martinez, Brandon Linkman, George Sandman, Chris Stouffer. Boy, he was making a run for a while, but it didn't go well for him. He has to settle for 37th, Mike Rigney, and Big Joe Hazard we saw with that early incident as he finishes last. Okay, let's go down to the Sim Experience Victory Lane to talk to our winner, and that would be Sage Karam. Sage, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a great year so far.
Get out in front. That's where you want to be, because after those tires were off, passing is tough, huh?
Yeah, I think that's why you saw, like, when the restarts, went back to green flag racing, everybody was racing pretty hectic, like as if it was lap 200. It was just because track position was huge, and I never thought I'd say track position would be huge at Indy, but it was. I mean, once the tires started to wear off about 10 laps into the stint, it was just really, really hard to get close. Almost nearly impossible. You had to almost just use the lappers as picks, or have the leader make a mistake to get around them. So yeah, we had a great strategy going on. Unfortunate my teammates didn't get to finish the race, but they stuck around in the Discord. So thanks to Josh and Damon. Damon stuck there at the end and was calling my race for me. So we had a great strategy going. I think if with that last yellow, I think we still would have probably won. We had good pace, and I think we would have had better tire at the end than the two front runners. But yeah, I mean, obviously the yellow helped us, and then we were able just to capitalize.
Get you out of here on this one, talking about Indy. You're going there for real. Tell us how that's going to play out.
Yeah, no. So I'll be going to Indy on Tuesday, and I'll be there all week basically. Just got to do some seat fits and stuff, get ready for the actual Indy Grand Prix that I'm going to be doing this Saturday. And yeah, it's going to be great. First time back on a road course for John Reinbold Racing in a few years. So it's going to be a learning curve for sure. But hopefully we can roll off the truck, have a good package, and chip away at it. But we don't have a lot of time to chip away at it. We only got 1 hour of a practice session, so got to get up on it pretty aggressively. But hopefully everything goes well and we have a good weekend.
Here's what we all want to know: it's summertime, so your kindergarten teacher girlfriend's not working. Does she get to go with you, or are they not allowing that?
Yeah, she's gonna go, but she can't actually go to the race. So she's just gonna hang out, I think, with one of her friends and watch the race from their house. But yeah, it's weird. It's great. This is like my first IndyCar race. My dad's gonna miss. Um, yeah, we can't get wives, girlfriends in, and no family. I mean, it's pretty crazy how it's all going on. So, hopefully this stuff just comes to an end soon because we want to have all the fans in, and I know I'd love to be racing in front of hundreds of thousands of people again, and we want to be racing the full schedule again. So hopefully this comes to an end.
Absolutely. Congratulations today, and good luck coming up here on the road course.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Sage Karam, your winner. And of course, if you want to get to Victory Lane and learn and get a chance to sip the milk in the Sim Experience Victory Lane, well, you know how to get there. Let me tell you, go check out all the stuff at Sim Experience AccuForce steering system. It has the most advanced turning features on the market. The AccuForce Direct Drive is second only to the real thing. See the entire Sim Experience line of products at simexperience.com. Richie, who you got?
Yeah, we got our second place finisher, Nathan Lewis. And Nathan, great job, man. It's by far, I think you're going to be pretty happy with when you watch this race back and how good you did. Tell us how it went.
I didn't start with. I didn't think about finishing, top three when I started this race because I wasn't very good in Q, and I started I think Q like 22nd or something like that, and I had to work my way. In the first part of the race, I was stuck in 18th, 19th, and then when that caution came out, I knew I had to gamble and get track position, so I gambled, and then I only lost 4 or 5 spots, and another caution came out. I was able to pit, and that's what helped me stay up there. And then then from there it's like I was happy with second, kind of a little bit mad because I lost to Sage again because I lost to him in the Indy Fix 500, but it's whatever.
Yeah, well, this is going to really vault you up in the standings. It's going to push you pretty much to the lead for the Rookie of the Year, as Josh had some issues. Right near the end, you were starting to close up on Sage, but it seemed like everybody kind of reached a buffer with about 15 laps on those tires, and that was about as far as you can get.
Yeah, I thought first Sage was saving some fuel reason I was catching him, but he said he wasn't. He was I just had faster car than him, I guess, at the end. But like I got to that point, it was 0.8, 0.9, then I got stuck, and then I couldn't get anywhere. Then I was kind of glad though I caught him a tiny bit because I was short on fuel. I was like edging the fuel. I was like 0.03 to the good in gallons. So then like with catching him, I was able to save some, which helped as well.
Yeah, well, you did a great job. Got to be really happy with it, and can't wait to hopefully interview you again when we race in about a month.
Yeah, we'll see. All right.
Thank you.
Second place finisher today. That was Nathan Lewis. Good run from him. Peter, who you got?
I have the third place finisher, Connor Harrington. Connor, thanks for coming to join us in the booth here on GSRC. Tell us how what that race was for you.
Yeah, it was a great race, honestly. I didn't have much of a high expectation for just for finishing. We wanted to just go out there and just run 200 laps and get a good finish. And we were really lucky to find a little golden nugget there with the strategy. We got a very lucky break with one of the cautions, and we were able to capitalize on that with some fresher tires and gain a little bit of track position. So a really good day for us.
Well, I would say you make your own luck, Connor. I think you thoroughly deserved it. Just finally, that final stint, it looked like you and Nathan were really starting to close down Sage, but it just sort of petered out in the last sort of 5 to 10 laps or so. Did the tires go off and kind of thwart the progress?
Yeah, once you got about 10 laps into the run, the clean air just became became what you needed to make a run. I had gotten within maybe 4 or 5 tenths of Nathan, and I was kind of hoping if I could leapfrog him, maybe that would kind of spur me on to challenge Sage for the win. But it just wasn't really meant to be. It was just so hot. The track temp just was very hot, especially late in the race. A lot of rubber, very greasy. So we just kind of ran into that kind of weird buffer where we couldn't really get much done.
Well, I'm sure you can be very proud of your third place finish in the Lionheart HyperX Indianapolis 500. Congratulations, and looking forward to speaking to you again in the commentary box very soon.
Yep. Thank you, Peter. Real quick, thank you to HyperX and the Lionheart Racing Series. It's phenomenal, top tier. Thank you to our sponsors, Alcantech Simulation, TQ Engineering, Nyman Racing, Cranfield Simulation. Without them, we can't do what we do. And we'll see you guys at the next race. Thanks, guys.
Connor Harrington, our third place finisher. Now we get the honor of talking to a man. Yeah, he finished 20th, but he runs this thing, and he wants to talk a little bit about the great sponsors here, HyperX. I'm talking about George Anzaldo. George, welcome.
Hi, Soup. Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to come in here real quick and just give a shout out to our sponsors here for the 2020 season. It's been a great month of June here for Lionheart at Indianapolis, and we can't thank our sponsors enough, especially our series sponsor here with HyperX. They came in and they provided prizes for the top 5 for both of our Indianapolis races, and as well as providing this giveaway for fans. So we really want to thank them a lot. First Medical Equipment for being the title sponsor to the IndyCar series, DMLC over there on the Retro Series, and as well minus 273 for the beautiful sponsorships for the Indy Grand Prix, and Butt Kicker for the sponsorship for the Indy 250. So it was a great month of June. Thanks to everybody who came out, participated, and took the time to tune into Lionheart. So with that, I just want to say thank you, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yours and all you do, and I know you put in a lot of effort. It was a great success. I enjoyed being here all month. Let's do it again next year.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sue.
George Anzaldo. That's going to wrap it up for us. Remember, we got the majors coming up. If you like Dolores, they're going to be out there on a road course, so check it out. It's coming up in a hurry. Of course, we'd like to thank all the sponsors that George just talked about. It would be like HyperX, the Sim Experience, and Butt Kicker, and don't forget First Medical Equipment. They all do a great job. If you want to find out about all the sponsors, go to the Lionheart RacingSeries.com and click on the sponsors there, and you can find out about all the news. The Lionheart IndyCar Series returns July 29th. We're going to be off for a little while. That's the Turn Racing Grand Prix at Sonoma. GSRC and ISN will be there. We hope you guys come along. If you want more information about us, GlobalSimRacingChannel.com, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, Twitter at GSR Channel, Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course, live scoring and timing at GSRC.TV. If you haven't already become a YouTube subscriber, head over to our YouTube page and click that big red button. Looking for a great Independence Day gift? Go to GSRC Merchandise Store. That is gsrc.storeenvy.com, 1E in Store Envy. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be Richie, Peter, Sean, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, as it was indeed Sage Karam getting his third win of the season, this time at the Double Points Triple Crown race here in the HyperX Indianapolis 500. With that said, we're off to have fun storm to the castle. So until next time, peace, good health, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.